tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than ever. Easier than picking which true crime doc to watch, figuring out that Wi-Fi password, or putting the duvet cover back on. So if you can do those things, with Find RX coverage, you can definitely Medicare. Find the plan that's right for you by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. So many parts. Where did they get all those shelves? eBay Motors, let's ride.
We're live. We're local. What are you gonna miss? He struck him up. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, everyone. What the hell am I, Matthew McConaughey? What the hell was that? I've never done that to start a show. I have no clue. Man, goodness, what am I, Brian Kelly over here trying to pretend to be something I'm not? What's going on? Holy moly. I swear to goodness, I did not even mean to do that. As I'm doing the all right. I'm like, oh, man, that was some killer Matthew McConaughey stuff right there. Unbelievable.
You are from Texas.
Maybe. I still, by the way, when I do talk to friends from when like friends remember when I was introduced in the classroom because I moved from Texas to Ohio. And I never thought I had an accent, but apparently I did because all of my friends always used to talk to me in that twang sound back to me. And I'm like, I don't know where I don't believe I have that twang accent because where I grew up in El Paso, Texas, no one talked like that. Everyone spoke Spanish. There weren't a whole lot of, Spanish-speaking people down there talking like this or whatever. So I have no clue where I got that accent. I mean, I was just channeling my inner future Brian Kelly, apparently. Aye. Happy Friday, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by, we have quite a few sponsors, OGW Energy Resources, Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, Orion Sports Medicine, and our newest sponsor, of course, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. I got some more good news on our house today. We are one more step away from finally getting to move into our first house. So couldn't have done that without Brad Mays and the awesome job he did. So shout out to him.
Nice.
But Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, newest sponsor of the show. So appreciate all the work he's done to help me and my fiance out. And he's also a really, really good friend on top of that. So cool. Happy Friday. Ohio State, the Big Ten championship. Oh, no. We don't have that to look forward to, but we'll talk about the Big Ten championship
Too soon.
game. Kev and I, I don't know who Kev and I are going to cheer for yet, but the black and yellow, baby.
Facts.
This is the only time that Kev and I will at the same time go for the black and yellow. So, and we're not talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, of course. It's a team that we hope, very similar to Pittsburgh, probably can't win this game. I don't know. We'll talk about it. But I want to talk today about, again, we've spent a lot of time on the Brian Kelly and a lot of time on the Marcus Freeman thing, and we're going to open up with that today. We're going to transition to more of the NFL stuff today. Kev, I made it through 6 hours of radio. I know I chimed in on Joe Burrow slightly yesterday, but 6 hours, really good for me. The last 2 days, no NFL talk, unless someone tried to steer me in that direction. But there's been no NFL talk. It's been all about the I mean, me and you were talking before the show, and I could not believe that, Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly would be the two that dominated all of the headlines. Lincoln Riley, by the way, I mean, he got his time in the sun, and now he's out of the conversation. It's been all about Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly. And look, I know, and everyone keeps thinking I've been defending Brian Kelly all week. I'm not like a Brian Kelly fan by any means. I just have no issue with what he did and even how he did it, because I think that the biggest issue is not how these coaches are going about making their decisions. It's about the current structure that puts them in that position to make those decisions. More and more is coming out that Notre Dame technically did most likely, if the opportunity was there, wanted to pursue Luke Fickell, but Luke Fickell doing the right thing can sometimes cost you. Luke Fickell doing the right thing is, I'm not leaving the Bearcats side, which I respect the hell out of that. I know it also sounds the last couple of days like I don't like Luke Fickell. I think that that's really cool what he did. I don't have a problem with what Brian Kelly did, but I also really respect Luke Fickell saying, you know what? Even if we win, we're not guaranteed to make the playoff. And even if we make the playoff, it could maybe be ugly, or it could be like what we did against Georgia last year. But he's sticking it out. But it cost him an opportunity to get the Notre Dame job, which is why I always bring up it's that type of situation right there. Why I don't blame Brian Kelly for leaving when he did, because the jobs are only available for a split second. And if you pass them up, you end up like Luke Fickell, which, again, you're at Cincinnati. That's not a bad job. It's not a bad spot to be in. And there'll be other jobs that are willing to pay just as much, and they'll be just as big, especially as the years go on. So Brian Kelly, the only difference is I feel bad for Luke Fickell in this situation if this was a dream job of his. And you would have to think that Notre Dame is a dream job for a lot of potential coaches out there. I don't know if LSU is a dream job, especially for a guy like, for Roberts, Kelly. I'm all over the place with names today. Holy smokes. But you know what I mean? So, but it is what it is. It's creating a great storyline. There's two feel-good storylines heading into the playoff right now. Cincinnati and what they can do against Houston if they win. I can't say if you win, you're in. I'm not confident that the Bearcats are in even with the win. Now, if they do what Ohio State did, I guess was it 2021, 7-8 years ago now, or 7 years ago, in the Big Ten championship game, they walloped Wisconsin. It was 50-something to nothing or whatever. If they don't beat Wisconsin 50-something to nothing back in 2014, they're not in the playoff and they don't win a national championship. So I know Luke Fickell's been against running the score up, but I'm sorry, you got to bury Houston. You got to dig their grave, put them in the grave, put the dirt on top, and then do whatever you want on top of that grave. You got to put them away like you've never put a team away before. The committee has given you the benefit of the doubt all year, whether I like it or anybody else likes it. I know Bearcat fans love it. They've given it the benefit of the doubt. They've let them, the committee the other night was talking about Alabama, that the one reason they were comfortable keeping them at 3 is because they did not look impressive in their win against Auburn. And I'm like, okay, I was aggressive yesterday with my takes. I'm not going to be as aggressive on the Bearcats today, but that's where I was waving the flag of, see, they're getting caught up. And this is the thing when you have human beings on the committee, they're letting their emotions get in the way of, okay, we're going to hold Alabama. We're going to hold their feet to the fire for not looking great and elite against Auburn, but Cincinnati on more than one, more than two, more than three. Sound like LeBron now. Not one, not two, not three, but more occasions than not. They have not looked head and shoulders better than their weaker opponents in their conference. But yet they're hypocrites when it comes to Alabama. But it is what it is. The bottom line is there's that feel-good story, and now there's this feel-good story, Notre Dame. I didn't give two rips about Notre Dame a week ago. I'm not a big Notre Dame fan right now. We talked about it yesterday. We're going to talk about it a little bit to open up the show today, but I am the biggest Marcus Freeman fan. It is just wild to me watching him all over the sports news cycle today. I'm like, that's a Dayton kid. Guy, man, that's Marcus freaking Freeman, Wayne zone, Dayton zone. I don't know how far out you have to go to school to still be Dayton zone, but we're going to claim him, right? Like, is that how it works? So it is what it is, but that was cool. It was cool seeing him today. If you haven't heard it, Kev, here is him addressing the team for the first time. Here's Marcus Freeman, because again, He's still on staff. He's still the defensive coordinator. It'll be official on Monday, but he's on the staff, but he hasn't talked to his players. He hasn't talked to anybody. He said since Brian Kelly announced that he left just a few days ago. Here is Marcus Freeman addressing his team, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, for the first time earlier this afternoon.
This is the first time I get to address you guys, right? And it's been a long, it seems like centuries that I've been at home after me and Jack had this conversation. And I first off want to thank Jack for this opportunity. You know, he's the one that made this decision. Somebody had to make a decision, okay? And he gave me this opportunity. And Father Jenkins gave me this opportunity, right? But the reason why was because of you. Everybody understand that? The reason why I'm standing here is because of you. And it's unbelievable how powerful you guys are, right? It's unbelievable how powerful your voices are. That's why we're going to do great things, because we got great leaders in this room. You know what I'm saying? We got great leaders in this room, okay? And when you want something done, you get it done. That's on the football field, that's off the football field, that's in leadership, that's in everything we do. When you guys want something done, and you come together and you say, I'm going to get something done, we get it done, right? So the same thing's going to happen as we move forward, right? Things aren't changing, man. We're going to enhance what we do, but things aren't changing. We're going to lead, we're going to lean on our leadership. And you leaders know who you are, right? We're going to lean on you because what you guys want to get done is going to get done, all right? And we're going to set high expectations, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure we equipped ourselves to reach that.
A lot of stuff in there that, you know, who wouldn't want to play for that guy? And he owns the room. You see the clip of him bursting through the door as he was announced today. I mean, those students went nuts. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was so exciting to watch. And the really cool thing is that regardless of whether the Fighting Irish make the playoff or not, he will be their head coach for their next game, whether it be a college football playoff game or if it's a bowl game, but what have you. Marcus Freeman will be on the sideline as the head coach, which is pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And he spoke about not seeing his players or talking to his players in seems like centuries. Obviously, it's just been days. But your position coach, you talk to your position coach way more than you talk to the head coach. You're in position meetings daily. You're with your position coach and your teammates daily, constantly, constant interaction, constant conversations, doors always open, that type of stuff. So when you're an open guy like he is with his players and everything like that, it had to burn him up not to be able to comfort them, because from one perspective, they need somebody to talk to about the whole Brian Kelly situation. Maybe there's a guy on the team that says thinking about the transfer portal because Coach Kelly isn't there, or thinking to themselves, oh man, they're reading exactly what we're reading on ESPN. Oh, LSU was reaching out to them like, oh man, I came here because of Coach Freeman. And do I have to get in the portal now? And him not being able to have that communication with them, I'm sure was difficult on him. And I'm sure it was a sigh of relief to, take care of the business between him and the Notre Dame athletic department, and now officially be the head coach to get back with the team and get back with the players and get back to what they do, is getting ready for football games and getting ready for practice and getting those young men ready for whatever bowl game they're going to be headed to, whether it's the CFP or if it's just a big BCS game or everything like that. So I'm sure that's a ton off of his plate, and he's back to what his true element is, being around the players and coaching them up.
Yeah, he goes on. I have more audio again today from Marcus Freeman addressing the Fighting Irish for the first time as their head coach. It was kind of a slightly announced yesterday that, all reports and rumors indicated that Notre Dame was going to announce Marcus Freeman as the next head coach of the Fighting Irish. It was made official today. Notre Dame actually released a statement. They released the social media, news reports and everything along those lines. He will officially be announced in a press conference come Monday at 2 p.m. So that he's their next coach. It's officially official. So we talked about how cool it is that he will be the head coach for the Fighting Irish coming up, whether it be the college football playoff or a bowl game. But nonetheless, here is Marcus Freeman addressing the team regarding, what's coming up in the next 48 hours.
48 hours. I don't care who we play, okay? I don't care who the opponent is. In 48 hours, right, we're going to get together and we're going to get going for this mission. We owe it to the seniors. This isn't about the future. Let's be clear. That's a disservice to this group. This isn't about the future. This isn't about next year. This ain't about 5 years from now. It's about right now. It's about finishing this season off the right way for your seniors. Everybody clear? I don't care about anything else, right? We all got a job to do. I care about us and this group and this coaching staff and this football family finishing this thing off the way we have to.
How cool was that? I love that because, again, when a new coach takes over, they're scared to death. They're thinking about the future. Man, I gotta open up with Ohio State next year. Got to recruit like crazy. I got to make sure we keep I got to keep our recruiting class intact. It's a top 5 recruiting class for next year. You got another one building for the following year. That's a really high rated class that, he's had a lot to do with. But Marcus Freeman, I love that he narrowed it down. He looked at those kids. He said, look, everyone keeps talking about what will Marcus Freeman bring to the table long-term for Notre Dame. What will Brian Kelly? Will he succeed long-term at LSU? Lincoln Riley at USC. USC's back, baby, right? So everyone's focusing on what these moves mean for the future. And I love Marcus Freeman's message to the Fighting Irish saying, hey, we don't care about the future. We care about right now. We care about this group. We don't care about next year's recruiting class, the year after's recruiting class. We care about these seniors and the current players in that locker room that they still have work to do. And I thought that was a cool message on Marcus Freeman's part saying, hey, don't care about anything else. We all have work to do. It's not about the future. The future doesn't matter, at least right now. The only thing that matters is the next 48 hours, of course, alluding to the fact that, we need to get through the rest of today, get through all of tomorrow and let the chips fall where they lay. Like you gotta, they've done all they can. They lost to Cincinnati, but they took care of business against everybody else. They're one of the, they're playing they're playing their best football at the best time. And I think that people who were worried about the committee losing a head coach against them, watch that team meeting between, Marcus Freeman and his guys and tell me that that's not going to be, tell me that they should be held against, that should be held against them for their coach leaving. They have a coach. They have a real coach. They have Marcus Freeman. They're in good hands. Pretty jacked about that opportunity for him. But yeah, they got to sit back the next 48 hours and just wait. You got to wait. They got to wait and see how Championship Saturday plays out tomorrow. The ACC title game, the SEC title game, the Big Ten title game, the American title game, of course, because that plays a huge impact on Notre Dame. Cincinnati and Notre Dame have been locked step in step from the time the season began. For one, their matchup. You had Marcus Freeman leave Cincinnati to go there. Brian Kelly leaves, and everyone assumed that the next head coach of Notre Dame would be the coach at Cincinnati. You know what I mean? A lot of crossover there. Yeah. It's a strange thing how those two have been tied from really the beginning of the season. And I just find that fascinating. But they're going to be watching Cincinnati very closely because Cincinnati loses. It's not a guarantee that Notre Dame's in the playoff, but now they get to scoot their chair up. Look at Ohio State to the left, Oklahoma State to the right. You know what I mean? Like they're going to have, possibly an Alabama team with one loss that beats Georgia. So that, they're in. It's going to be an interesting 48 hours, but yeah, that's all he can do is just sit back, wait. I actually think if the feel good story element, and I truly believe this, I'm going to say it less like a troll so I don't anger as many people. I truly believe. Not a Bearcat fan. I don't hate the Bearcats. I actually, at the beginning of the season, Shaw called me out for it yesterday. I was actually all for them making the playoff. I said, hey, they beat Notre Dame. At that time, I was living in the now of, man, they looked good doing it. Like, that's a top 10 team they just dismantled. They did it on the road. My opinion changed as the season went on because I didn't think they looked as crisp against weaker competition. So I wasn't as against them at the beginning of the year because at that time they were beating the Indianas. They were taking care of Notre Dame. It just got hard to watch as the season went on because they didn't look as dominant doing it. While I'm watching Ohio State put 50 up in the first half against Purdue, I'm watching them put 50 up in the first half against against Michigan State. It's hard. That's why I was getting in my way of looking at Ohio State, one loss Ohio State, and then looking at Cincinnati. I'm like, there's no comparison. There's none. But they are undefeated. But the thing I'm thinking about this, I do believe Cincinnati's in the playoff hunt right now. Yes, because they're undefeated, but also they're given a lot of benefit of the doubt. They're given the benefit of the doubt that other teams are not being given right now because they do have a loss. And yes, that should be held against you. But sometimes you got to sit back and say, well, why do they have a loss? They have a loss because the likelihood of them picking up a loss is 1,000,000% greater than Cincinnati, especially for the last 2 months of the season since they played Notre Dame. I believe they're in the hunt because of the feel-good story. I didn't think Notre Dame had a shot in the past because of that loss and no conference. I believe that they are right there at the front now. If the committee, they have that get all warm inside. They've been all warm inside about Cincinnati from the very beginning. So they've proving that, hey, they could be swayed by an emotional situation. Notre Dame's as emotional as it gets right now. Cincinnati has a good shot at making the playoff because of that. I didn't think Notre Dame with Brian Kelly did. Brian Kelly leaves. Now everyone looks at Notre Dame, who usually pokes fun at the fact that they're not in a conference. They lost to Cincinnati. You have a loss. You don't even have a conference championship. Now they're everyone's darling, including Kinners over here. And I can't stand Notre Dame, but I love Marcus Freeman. So I do believe they have a better chance now post Brian Kelly. And it's crazy, but it's because of the emotional element of it for the committee.
Yeah, the human element is definitely in there. And this is something that I wanted to ask. I guess this was on Monday. when did the Brian Kelly news break? Monday afternoon or
it was
Sunday?
Late at night. I thought what day is today? Friday?
Exactly. Like
this week's all running in. Definitely like a Friday.
So whatever. I was thinking
48 hours, less than that if I had to guess.
I was thinking, who would you rather be going into this weekend? Would you rather be Notre Dame or would you rather be UC? Because like you said, UC obviously has a game. And, I think they got they used a playoff predictor from ESPN. If they win, they have like a 65% chance of making the college football playoff and everything like that. So would you rather be UC going into this game or would you rather be Notre Dame sitting, waiting for the mayhem to happen around you? Who do you think is in a better position? Because like you said, I may think that if UC wins, they're in, but I don't have a vote. You know what I'm saying? It's the committee's vote about how they get in or not. They're not in a position where, you're win, you're in type of situation like that team up north is or Alabama or anything like that. If they win, they're most likely in, and then they still have to wait around and see if they're in. Or would you rather be Notre Dame right now on the outside looking in, waiting for the mayhem to happen, which is probably going to happen judging what's happened this football season? Who would you rather be? Would you rather be UC or would you rather be Notre Dame right now?
If I truly believe that Cincinnati was in a win and you're in situation, I would say, Cincinnati in a heartbeat. But Cincinnati needs help from everyone around them. And so does Notre Dame. But Cincinnati's likelihood of stubbing their toe is way higher than Notre Dame because Notre Dame didn't have a game this weekend. And it's almost working like we ripped Notre Dame for not being in a conference because I think it puts them at an advantage. Sometimes I thought it would be a disadvantage for them not playing on championship Saturday because of that. Like while Cincinnati's playing in a conference championship game, plus they've beat Notre Dame, that should give them the upper edge, right? But Cincinnati's in a situation due to the conference they play in that even if they beat Houston, remain undefeated, Iowa State wins, I don't see how the committee can look at Cincinnati and say, it's 1,000% without a shadow of a doubt Cincinnati over Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State would have had 2 top 10 wins the last 2 weeks, only 1 loss, but they would also be given the benefit of the doubt because, hey, we play in a tougher conference than Cincinnati's. That will be a factor. That will be a talking point in that committee room. Kev, I'm going to say Notre Dame's in better shape, as crazy as that sounds, just because of the fact that they need help from anyone else regardless. Cincinnati still needs help of everyone else regardless. So if you're both at that same starting block of we need chips to fall, we need other teams to fall for us to get in, I'd rather be in a position where I only need these teams to fall for me to get in versus I need these teams to fall and I need to win a game. So it's kind of a weaker take, but you know what I'm saying? Like I think Notre Dame's in a better spot just because they don't have to worry about them losing. They just have to sit back and hope that the chips fall where they do in their favor.
I've always been of the mindset the ceiling for UC of the college football playoff is this 4th spot. So I don't necessarily believe like they have to curb stomp Houston, and I don't think it's going to be a curb stomp. I think it's going to be a relatively tight game with UC winning maybe by like 10 points at the most come Saturday. But I think I would rather be in a position where I have some type of control over what I'm doing. I wouldn't want to be the passenger in a situation. I wouldn't want to be the passenger on the bus where I'm just riding along, watching the game tonight with who is it tonight? Pac-12 championship tonight with Utah and Oregon, thinking like, all right, let's make sure. Well, that doesn't even factor in. Let's make sure Utah wins. All right, now noon game. All right, let's make sure Baylor beats Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game. All right, at 4:00, we got to hope that Houston beats UC. All right, 4:00 game, Bama and Georgia. Really don't matter who wins that one, but I'm still watching. Like, it's a lot going on that has to happen their way, not just one thing versus the UC way. Like, it's like they basically are in if they win, and it's not 100%, but it's more than Notre Dame situation. If
they have a chance to bump their resume up one more notch, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's the way better and way less convoluted.
So they have a little bit more control.
Yeah, they have more control than Notre Dame does. And I would personally rather be in the seat where I have some type of control as opposed to just sitting back, watching all the games, eating my popcorn, biting my nails off.
All right, 518-1410, that's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. One of the comments in the chat section is alluding to already. I mean, it was just announced early this morning by Notre Dame to make it official about Marcus Freeman, but how can this impact the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yes, Marcus Freeman signing at Ohio, being the next head coach at Notre Dame, it could have an impact on the Ohio State Buckeyes. So they're targeting some key members of the Ohio State Buckeye staff. How can this impact Ohio State? We'll talk about that next on the other side. 518-1410, more of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash next.
The Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Get the best tools for any job right now at Menards. Metabo HPT power tools are the preferred choice for professionals in the workshop and on the job site. They perform and deliver year after year. Metabo HPT nailers are the gold standard in pneumatic nailer technology. From framing to roofing nailers, Metabo HPT has you covered. Check out our selection and pick one up for yourself today at Menards. Plus, a Menards gift card is always a great gift idea.
More season's greetings to you all from Menards.
Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. Browse the largest display of hot tubs and swim spas in the region from 5 major brands at up to 50% off. That's this weekend at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds in Dayton. Visit spashow.com or call 800-SPA-SALE.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
If you've had a car accident, the first call should be to Blake Maisland.
That's right. With the sun going down a little earlier, with the leaves on the road, with the rain, it just lends itself to more injuries. You just have to remember, you only need one number, and that's the number 4. We are here for you 24 hours a day.
444-4444 or wantmore.com. Your organization will give you an absolute free evaluation.
And we work the case for you for free all the way through unless we win.
You have rooted yourself in Dayton.
Sure. Well, we all are in Dayton together. And when things happen, everybody needs to come together and everybody has something to offer. I'm lucky enough that I went through law school. Everyone in our own firm brings a talent and we make sure that whatever's necessary for your case to win it, that's what we do.
444-4444 or online at wantmore.com. Attorney Blake Maisland. He's there to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We're a farm store, a family store, a look what I found store. We're a store made for real people and some real beasts. We're a hey neighbor kind of store and an everyday low price store. We're Rural King, and we're working hard to be your favorite store. Make sure you get over the valley and through the woods this holiday season with Providence Green Antifreeze. Just $2.99 after rebate. Limit 2 per household. Now through December 31st.
Scott Van Pelt here. If you haven't checked out the podcast, SV Pod, what are you waiting for? We're like right directly in the flight path for helicopters flying in and out of D.C. Otis the dog, barking at deliveries, high-level intellectual conversation, some gambling talk, talking with athletes, celebrities, musicians, and more. Also, we got my guy Stanford Steve riding shotgun, trying to keep me out of the ditches. Download and subscribe to SV Pod wherever you get your podcast. We certainly appreciate it. Rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff.
In college football, Goodyear knows a new season means new possibilities, where every Saturday is an opportunity on the road to greatness. No matter if you're out there playing your hardest or cheering the loudest from the sidelines, tailgating in the parking lot, or your favorite spot to watch the game, Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
For one day only, eBay is offering a second chance at Cyber Monday prices. Get all of the premium brands with eBay's exclusive Can't Miss Monday deals. Get more when you get it on eBay.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Good luck.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We are Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All right. So we spent a lot of time talking about all the coaching changes this week, and there is going to be a domino effect as far as not necessarily jobs that are not necessarily job openings around, but like there is going to be tough discussions to be had in a lot of the when it comes to a lot of current college football coaches and their current programs. Everyone that if you looked at the top paid college coaches heading into the season, you could look at them and say, that's about right. Some argued that Ryan Day needed to be paid higher. I think Ryan Day has done exactly what has been asked of him since taking over for Urban. I think that he is paid well for that. I mean, and by the way, who the hell am I to say who's paid well and not? So I don't like to really get into that aspect of it, but I do see where people get obsessed with that because people look at how much you're paid and say, well, what's the ROI? What's the return on investment? Mm-hmm. And you could argue that Ryan Day's return on investment, considering the circumstance of replacing a legend like Urban Meyer, you don't just replace legends every season and things go flawless, right? Things went flawless for the Buckeyes and Ryan Day. Big back-to-back Big Ten championships, back-to-back playoff appearances, a national championship appearance, beating Clemson in the semifinal last year, and played in a classic game against that team up north, and had they won, they'd be back in the Big Ten title again. He would have remained undefeated. Ryan Day would have been, he would have remained undefeated against the Big Ten opponents, and he would have been right back in the playoff. So I'm not going to hold anything that's happened over the last 7 days against Ryan Day. My point was, though, is that you could argue he could be paid more to match what he has brought to the program and where he's kept the program and where he's taking the program. But now you look at a guy like Nick Saban, being the highest paid head coach in all of college football coming into the year. I don't think there's one single soul out there that has a problem with that. Nick Saban, that's just a given, right? It's Nick freaking Saban, of course. But he's no longer the highest paid head coach in college football. In fact, he's getting paid very similar to a lot of his peers, some of his peers that have not even come close to accomplishing as much or even close to what he has. And this isn't a shot at Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker's in that ballpark range. Jim Harbaugh, had to take a pay cut to keep his job. So, there you go. But, as you see the Brian Kelly numbers come out, do you look at Lincoln Riley as his numbers come out? It's going to lead to a lot of conversations within these athletics departments because what got Brian Kelly to leave Notre Dame? Yes, you guys think he's a bad person, fine, whatever. But money got him to leave. And money that got him to leave, had Notre Dame known that he was probably looking to bounce, or if that money was going to be something that lured him away, I think they would have probably given him more money at the beginning of the season to make sure that he doesn't bounce, right? I just don't think anyone anticipated Brian Kelly leaving. Notre Dame's not the type of job that you bounce from. You just don't, unless you are the one being bounced. Like, Ohio State, the same thing. If Ryan Day leaves, you'd have to anticipate it being for the NFL, but to have your coach leave for another job in college that will rock Buckeyes Nation's world the first time that ever happens.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened, at least not in my lifetime. No coaches left for another coaching job in college. It's been
I don't think
a lot
John
of,
Cooper. Let's think back. Outside of Luke Fickell, who was an interim coach, he took the UC job. Herb retired, then went to the NFL.
Wink, wink.
Trussell was fired and went to go to be the president of Youngstown
YSU.
State.
Yep.
John Cooper, he never coached after that.
So it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in Notre Dame either. You either get fired or but that's why Brian Kelly was there for 12 years. He was there, winning as head coach in Notre Dame history, yada, yada. So I say all this because there's going to be some uncomfortable conversations to be had in the offseason for a lot of these programs. Like, is Nick Saban going to go in and, kind of pump his chest a little bit and say, hey, I don't think I really need to explain my resume to you guys, but I need to be the highest paid coach in college football. Will he be that guy that does that? I don't know. But if I'm Nick Saban, I do it because clearly the money's been out there for every program in the country, even through a pandemic. Like Alabama, of all programs, can afford to pay Nick Saban more. Doesn't mean that they have to. No. If they need to, they will. Doesn't mean they have to offer it up front. But if I'm Nick Saban, do you be that guy that goes and that says, I want paid more than Lincoln. I want paid more than Brian. I'm Nick freaking Saban, man. And if you're Ryan Day, do you go to Gene Smith and say, it's the Ohio State University? If LSU can afford to open up the wallet for Brian Kelly, if USC can pay Lincoln Riley what they're doing, and you want to keep me. I think ADs might start having conversations without being provoked to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I think if the AD at Notre Dame would have known that this was a possibility, it wouldn't have got to this point. He would have been paid before it even got to that point. If Oklahoma truly thought that Lincoln Riley could be lured away because of money, Oklahoma would have stepped up and got that taken care of to make sure it didn't happen. But because they weren't ahead of that, they became vulnerable to losing their team. They were vulnerable, didn't even realize it. Well, is Ohio State vulnerable right now? I don't think so. Ryan Day, if he leaves, it'll be for an NFL job. I've always said he's going to leave for the NFL at some point, in my true opinion. But I think you're going to see a lot of teams start giving extensions, massive extensions, highly paid extensions, maybe without the coaches even pursuing it. But it may not just be the head coaches. It could be some of the staff as well, the coordinators. There was talks today that Marcus Freeman was very aggressive in going after Ohio State Buckeyes wide receivers coach and Brian Hartline. And Brian Hartline is one of the hottest up-and-coming coaches in all of college football, coordinators, assistant coaches, that type of thing. From what he's done recruiting, from what he's done on the offensive side, Ohio State, the most explosive offense in college football this year. Brian Hartline is going to be, and I've always viewed him as a future head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think that it's trending that direction in the next, if Ryan Day sticks it out for the long haul, and let's say there's another 5 years of Ryan Day. If Ryan Day ever leaves, yes, people look at Luke Fickell. Yeah, now you could honestly talk about Marcus Freeman if the success really starts to mount at Notre Dame. I think Brian Hartline could continue to build there. But Gene Smith is going to have to open up that wallet. He's got to not just pay Ryan Day, Kev. He's going to have to pay Brian Hartline. You're going to have to pay some of those top assistants because you're only as good as your assistants are. That's what's allowed Nick Saban in Alabama to be the dynasty that they are. Ohio State's going to have to jump on that and jump on that soon.
Absolutely. And, it's not about budget at Ohio State. They print money. Every piece of merchandise that you buy somebody with that Buckeye logo on it for Christmas, it's going back to that athletic department. So I'm not going to be screaming up the mountains like, oh, man, we don't have enough money, because Ohio State has enough money to go get whomever they want. The money wouldn't be an object. It's just be strictly up to the person. Do they want to stay here or come to Ohio State? Because they got the money. As far as the situation with Brian Hartline and Marcus Freeman in Notre Dame, they have a connection. Obviously, they're both former Buckeyes. Their time overlapped at Ohio State and everything like that. We don't know Brian Hartline's ambition. I'm sure it's not strictly to be a wide receivers coach forever. I'm sure he has ambitions of being an offensive coordinator, then developing into a head coach and everything like that. I only assume that. So is this the time where, there's a lot of transition going on at Ohio State? Because if you are the OC at Ohio State, you're not the one calling the plays at Ohio State. Coach Day calls the plays at Ohio State.
And we've seen Ohio State in years past protect their OCs or protect their assets when it comes to their coaching staff by giving them titles. We've seen, Wilson, and at one point was it Tom Herman? Was it Tom Herman?
Yeah.
And then
Larry
it was Ryan
Johnson
Day.
right now.
Yeah. So like that's what they do. They elevate your title. They pay you more, and they basically, you still do what you were probably doing before, but you have that title. So it just keeps you there. It makes you, what I mean?
Helps that resume.
That's what they're going to have to do with Brian Hartline here at the end of the day.
Probably. So let's just play.
Oh, but you were
devil's advocate. Devil's advocate. Let's just say Brian Hartline decides to go to Notre Dame, and he is the co-offensive coordinator because Tommy Rees is already coming back in that role. Like, that's better for his career. That's better for him. That's more he's doing with the offense as opposed to strictly coaching the wide receivers. Obviously Kevin Wilson is the offensive coordinator by title and tight ends coach and everything like that. But Ryan Day comes up with the game plans. He's the one calling the plays on a daily basis. So my question for Coach Day or Ohio State is there a ceiling for Brian Hartline with Ohio State? Is wide receivers coach or potentially the offensive coordinator the ceiling for him there?
Yeah.
Because you go other places because you've reached your ceiling there. So you can get more for your resume and take it to continue to build your career. So that's my question for Ohio State has Brian Hartline strictly hit his ceiling? We want you to be the best recruiter out there, and we want you to be the best wide receiver coach out there. Well, I really want to start calling plays. Well, sorry, I'm the play caller. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? So those are the questions that Brian Hartline is going to have to ask Coach Day if he's approached about this Notre Dame situation. And those are the same questions he's got to ask, Coach Freeman as well. Like, well, I know you got Tommy Rees there. Like, I want to call plays too. So it's a lot of give and take. You sure Coach Freeman doesn't want, anybody off the defensive staff? You can take those dudes. Don't take Brian Hartline.
Defensive mind like him knows not to take those guys. But you're right with Brian Hartline, as far as that, like, there is, you have an offensive minded head coach in Ryan Day. There is a ceiling for you as an offensive coach there. And you're right. It really comes down to the aspirations of what Brian Hartline wants. Are you going to stay at Ohio State just because you're a former Buckeye? Are you going to stay at Ohio State just because, it's the Ohio State? But if there's a ceiling and you're just running in place, that's going to be the thing too. But at Notre Dame, they do have Rees. That is the one thing. Right. But if you lure him to Notre Dame, pair him up with Rees and kind of do that thing that we've seen Ohio State do and Alabama and others do in years past. That's a very realistic thing. But it was good for Marcus Freeman. Again, assisting the aggressive coaches succeed.
Right.
And I don't feel like Ryan Day is being very aggressive right now. I just don't. Now, that's without knowing what's going on behind the scenes. But let's be clear. They have 85 different blogger websites that document every one of their moves. And we always hear Ohio State's doing this. They're dabbling in that. It's crickets right now. So I'm not saying nothing's happening. I can't definitively say that, but we need to start connecting dots and say, okay, this is a program that has so many different media outlets covering their every single move, their every single word, their every single step. And there's nothing coming out right now. And I'm hearing more about other teams looking at their guys than I am about Ohio State looking at this guy or trying to get this guy or wanting this guy over here. That has to be concerning if you are a Buckeye fan, because this team, and not really on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side of the ball, how you could just sit down with, especially so close to what just happened this past Saturday,
right?
Especially because that second loss of the season happened in the exact same way you picked up your first loss of the season. Wasn't because of the offense. Could the offense have done more? Yes. Give you 28 points. Quarterback threw for 400 yards. Didn't turn the ball over. Your defense cost you that game. Let's just be real. I'm a little concerned about that. But right now, Gene Smith, the dynamics have changed. It's going to come down to money for your assistant coaches. I mean, we're talking about head coaches. It's assistant coaches, and it's really going to come down to, I don't know if Marcus Freeman, or I don't know if Hartline turned it down, or I don't know what the fallout of that is, but don't be surprised if they poach him, because like you said, if they can offer him a bigger role at Notre Dame, and more money, we got to stop acting like that every Buckeye coach has blind faith to the program, that they have no aspirations that they want to be a wide receivers coach for the rest of their life. Yeah. No. And, a prime example is that's Marcus Freeman. Brian, you look at the coach that just left, Brian Kelly, he just thought, well, let's pay him to be our DC. We'll make him the highest paid coordinator in all of college football. And he didn't jump on it. He's like, thanks, but no thanks. That's why everyone yesterday that was calling in acting as if that he took a step back by being the head coach at Notre Dame. I mean, we had multiple callers yesterday make it sound as if he took a step back to be a head coach of Notre Dame as opposed to be the defense. Are we that arrogant of a fan base that we actually think that the defensive coordinator role at Ohio State is more prestigious than being the head coach at Notre Dame? Buckeye fans, I love you, but it's days like yesterday that had me uncomfortable dealing with you because I'm like, you literally cannot be that arrogant to think that being an assistant at Ohio State is more prestigious than being the head coach at Notre Dame. That's not the case at all.
Bank account better too. And another thing about it, we as fans and just looking on the outside looking in, every coach out there isn't going to be a Larry Johnson, Odell Haggins, like guys who this is what they want to do. They like the hands-on with the players. That's what they want to do. They don't want to have to deal with the coach's show. They don't want to have to deal with shaking the hands, kissing the babies, and all that type of stuff. They want to work the players, recruit the players, coach the players, go home. And that's what Larry Johnson and guys like Odell Haggins, like that's what they do. And they're great. They're lifers at that.
They've accepted that. Yes.
But guys like a Luke Fickell, because let's not forget, he was the defensive coordinator at Ohio State last time they won a championship. He left to be a head coach at UC. Then you look at Marcus Freeman. His NFL career ended early. He became a grad assistant at Ohio State, went to Kent State, went to Purdue, went down to UC, went to Notre Dame, and now is the head coach at Notre Dame. Like that is like kind of like what most guys want to do. They want to get on the fast track to being a head coach because they love it. Not every guy out there wants to be a lifelong assistant because, you know, everybody has different aspirations. We look at Kevin Wilson. Kevin Wilson is the offensive coordinator by title at Ohio State. Before that, he was the head coach at Indiana. Before that, he was the OC at Oklahoma back when Sam Bradford and those guys were there putting up crazy numbers and everything like that. So even an older gentleman like Coach Wilson, he had his time at being a head coach. Most of these guys do want to be head coaches. So you can't be stuck with your blinders on thinking like, oh, man, Brian Hartline, he's happy where he is. He probably is happy where he is. But you can't say like he doesn't have bigger dreams and aspirations and he wouldn't be willing to leave The Ohio State University to further his career. Many have done it before him. Many will do it after him.
Yeah, like, I mean, heck, you know, just over a season and a half ago, Marcus Freeman's a DC in the American Conference for the Bearcats. It was an upgrade to be the DC at Notre Dame. And now he's the head coach at Notre Dame. You know, if he would have listened to everyone out there say, well, you only spent 1 year at Notre Dame as a DC. I don't know if you're equipped to be the head coach. It's like, stop. If you put limits on yourself, you're going to slow yourself down, and don't let others put limits on you either. And no, this isn't an after school special or nothing like that. But like, that's why I love, like Marcus Freeman, that move right there is just, it's proof. Like he could have followed that defensive coordinator. Like he could have said, you know what? I could take a head coaching job right now, but I think I need to be careful with that. I shouldn't take this job in case I fail. So I'm going to just go ahead and continue to be because he's not afraid in himself. He doesn't doubt himself, and he knows he could do it. And that's really all it comes down to. But it's going to be interesting. And by the way, the guy who doesn't watch his team whenever they play Ohio State, he says, "Yes, your fan base is that arrogant."
Man, don't blow it. That's all I got to say.
Beating Ohio State changes people.
Big time.
I mean, my goodness.
Big time.
He says it with his chest. He's all confident.
Man, you know what? My mom and brother taught me to be super humble as a kid, especially my brother. When you have a brother that's 6 years older than you and you get like 10, 12 years old, you think like you would take them. And there's nothing like getting punched in the mouth by somebody that's 6'4" and that outweighs you by 60 pounds. And
were you the runt to the group? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, my brother's 6 years older than me. My sister's 7 years older than me. I got beatings. My mom didn't have to beat me.
6'4". That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
Yes, my brother is 6'4", but he still weighs like $150. But anyway, yeah. So like, I learned to be humble that way, and I am humble in sports as well. So when my team wins, I don't go around bragging left and right. Somebody was way more humble about this time a week ago. Literally, this time a week ago, they were real humble. But now that their team won, they're walking out like a peacock. Be humble. You got a game tomorrow. Don't blow it. Yeah. Don't blow it. Don't blow it.
Mark Smith on Facebook says, Kenner, please shut the 1-10 Shaw up.
I don't know. I don't. 1 in 10. That's a good one. That's a good one. That is a good one.
I wonder how many of them games he watched. Liar. You're a liar. He says he's still humble.
You ain't been humble all week. And I feel you. You know, you got every right in the world to be happy.
And he called me an a-hole. He called me an a-hole.
Oh, he's back on that.
Yeah.
Humble, man. Ain't nothing wrong with being humble. Ain't nothing wrong with being humble, man.
All
Humility, man.
Holy moly, man. 518-1410. We got Chicago Brian on. Chicago, how are you, sir?
How you guys doing?
Good. I think you're doing pretty good today, huh?
Man, the last time I called you guys, I felt like I was kicked in the stomach. And today, it's a complete different feeling. I am pumped. I am excited. Before I tell you why I'm excited about the future, let me make my argument for Notre Dame this year.
For this year or for next year? What do you mean by this year? Like this season that's still going on with one game left? What?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just making sure.
If I'm going in front of the committee and fighting my case, this is what I'm going with. I feel we got the momentum, not only on the field, but what we saw with Marcus Freeman today. Tommy Reese obviously believes in this system staying put. I would tell them, hey, we don't have a distraction. We're ready to go. 2, I would argue, I don't have an argument for Oklahoma State. If they win, we're in trouble. But I'd argue this with Cincinnati and Ohio State. The college, are we voting for the best 4? Are we voting for the 4 that deserve it? It's kind of like the MVP race. Are we voting for the most valuable? Or are we voting for the best player? Because if we were voting for the most valuable, then someone like Marino would have had 8 MVPs. Same thing with the college thing. Are we voting for the best? Or are we voting for the 4 that deserve it? If we're voting for the 4 best, what Cincinnati has done since Notre Dame and what Notre Dame has done since the Cincinnati game, you can make an argument Notre Dame's a better team than Cincinnati. And I truly believe that. For the Buckeyes, besides the 2 losses, the one thing, if there's only one thing we have over the Buckeyes, is that we have a better run defense. I truly believe that. Michigan would not be able to run on us like they did you guys. And
that's like Kev saying, I'm taller than Justin. I really believe that. I mean, that's a given. I'll give you that. Yeah, Ohio State doesn't have a whole lot to walk on defensively. I'll give you that.
And I'm humble enough. There's a lot of areas you guys are better than us. But that's one area, and that would cause a huge problem for Michigan. So I feel we could be more competitive than some of these other teams. I know our recent success in the playoffs.
I'm only laughing because I had it locked in the chamber and you fired it before I could. Okay, that's good. See, you're a realistic fan. I'll give it to you. That's good.
I'm humble, but yeah, I think we can make some noise and be competitive. We're not Georgia, but we can put up a good game against some teams, better games than say Cincinnati, and I think we give Michigan some matchup issues. Now, here's why I'm excited about the future. Marcus Freeman is a great recruiter. Under Brian Kelly, we lived under getting the guys from California and Georgia. Those were our 2 states we went after. We're about to have a hard time getting players out of California now. Everyone is, after what USC did. So what do we need to do to replace California? We need to go in Indiana and Ohio. We couldn't do that with Brian Kelly. Can we do that with Marcus Freeman, a local guy?
I mean, he can stop in and say hello, but now he needs to stay out of Ohio. he can leave Ohio alone. He can leave Kentucky alone. He can leave this whole area alone. That's Ryan Day's territory.
Well, we're going to find out soon. We're supposed to meet with 2 or 3 players in the next 7 days in the state of Ohio. So we're going to see what we can do. But I believe we can make some noise.
Sounds good. But Chicago, Brian, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and congratulations on the Marcus Freeman hire. It's pretty cool.
Thank you, guys.
All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call it and jump in on the conversation. Alex Sheets on Facebook. Kev says Notre Dame hasn't played a team with a winning record since that UC game. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with everything that Chicago Brian said, but you know what? Like I said earlier, and you heard him, Kev, like 2 days ago, he felt like got kicked in the stomach. If there was ever a year to have your coach divorce you, this was the year to do it because there were so many options. There's so many options to fill it. You know what I mean? So this was the year for Notre Dame to get dumped because there's a lot of when people say there's a lot of fish in the sea or whatever the hell that saying is, there really was a lot of fish in the sea as far as I'm concerned. So as far as Notre Dame is concerned, what else we got? Ann Anderson says, "You guys are a hoot. We're a hoot. I will never root for that state up north. Don't care what conference they are in. Go Bearcats. Go Bearcats." If that matchup happens, I'll be a big Luke Fickell fan at that point. I'll be a big Luke Fickell fan at that point. So there's that. Mr. Shaw says, "Ann Anderson, that's what I expect. I'll never root for Ohio, so I get it." Okay. Shaw also goes on to say, he's humble because I said Chicago Brian, he's realistic. He goes, "I know our history in the college football playoff." Like, he knew it was coming. He had to get it out there first. So I said, okay, he's a humble fan. He knows. It's not like he's blind to that. But Shaw caught up all in his feelings because the national host, called him a bandwagon fan. I get it. He goes, he's humble. But when I talk realistic about my team, I'm a bandwagon fan. You don't even watch your team. That's what you said.
That's facts.
You don't even watch your team.
That's facts.
My goodness. You said that yesterday. He said he watches every Ohio State game, so he knows what to expect for the matchup. But yet he doesn't even watch his team in the game,
in the matchup.
Man.
I mean, Chicago. Brian brought up a great point. Several great points. But the committee and people wanted to be one way. They wanted to be plain and simple, but it's not, because they are picking the 4 best teams, but they're also picking the 4 most deserving teams, and they're also picking the teams
resumes
with the best resumes.
Okay, my bad.
It's a combination of all. It's not just one. It's a combination of all, and that's what makes the job. And then no matter how much I or you or Bob or Susan or Joey or whomever disagree with them, it is a difficult job. It is a difficult job because you're not going to get 100% of college football fans to say, yes, those are all the 4 best teams. They got it 100% right. You're always going to have an argument for another team that could potentially be in that 4th spot or even that 3rd spot. It could be 2 teams on the outside looking in. Become Sunday at 1 o'clock when they unveil the top 4. So it's a combination of the best 4 teams, 4 most deserving teams, and the 4 best resumes. And that is never going to be clear. And to be perfectly honest, that's exactly the way they want it, because this conversation we're having right now that we've been having since July, this is what drives college football. This is what drives it. No matter what, this is what drives it. You can have opinions and arguments because people like myself will try to equate, well, the NFL does it this way. The NFL does it this way. How come college football can't do it that way? Well, there's not 130 teams in the NFL. In the NFL, everybody plays everybody. In college football, everybody doesn't play everybody. And they've come up with a system where we're going to put 4 teams in, where we have 5 Power 5 conferences, and then we have a dozen or so G5 conferences. And maybe 2 or 3 of those dudes are really good, but most people don't respect them no matter what. So you know what? That's a conversation point. That's a conversation point. And that's a conversation point. And that drives the sport. We have not talked about the games in over a week. We've talked head coaches. We've talked how the committee is going to roll things out. We haven't talked about
Shaw's a hypocrite.
That for sure.
My goodness.
We haven't talked about Georgia, Alabama. We haven't talked about Oregon, Utah. We haven't talked about Wake Forest, Pitt. We haven't talked about Oklahoma, Baylor. We haven't talked about that team up north versus Iowa. We haven't talked about any of the things that are actually going to happen on the field. This kind of reminds me of the NBA. NBA free agency. People get so excited about where guys are going to go as opposed to the actual season itself. And then they wait to the playoffs and then, oh yeah, I'm locked in. I'm an NBA fan. But come around free agency, it's the talk of the town. This week reminded me of the NBA because we've done no talking about what's going to happen or potentially happen on Saturday. Crazy.
No, it has been. And one last point on the playoff. There is no one set way. People are they need to be more clear on the criteria to make the playoff. I'm first of all, you don't want that. And here's why. Every team, every one of us that is a Buckeye fan, we have benefited from the multiple ways that they assess playoff teams. I mean, imagine if they said you have to be a conference champion to be a contender for the playoff. Ohio State would have missed the playoffs back when they lost. Now, that was the year they lost to Clemson 31-0, but they deserved to be in the playoff that year. I know they lost to Penn State, the Big Ten champion, where they had 4 top 10 wins. No other team had more than 2 that year. So that's, like I always say, that year I get where everyone's coming from at the Big Ten champion Penn State, especially because Penn State beat them. But the only ranked win that Penn State had that year was Ohio State. So it was like, I get it. I understand, why people were upset. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the resume of Ohio State was better. Oh, but you want a conference champion to be, to have the advantage. Well, Bearcat fans, you want that to be the case, undefeated, conference champion. You want that to be the case because it benefits your current criteria, it benefits your current resume. There's so many moving parts on these resumes. There's expectations for one-loss teams of how to look moving forward. There's expectations for Power 5 teams who are dominant. You're not given the benefit of the doubt as much. If you struggle against a team, you're not given the benefit of the doubt as much as if you're a team like Cincinnati who plays in a weaker conference. You trust me, if you're Cincinnati, you don't want set criteria. You don't want it. Like, they're acting like they're the victim because of that, because there's so many everyone's moving the goalposts, but you kind of need that. If the goalposts couldn't be moved, you wouldn't have a shot to make the playoff. The goalposts have been moved for the Bearcats this year. They need to be thankful for that. They think they're being a victim because of that. I'm like, you have a chance because of it. Ohio State has a shot to make the playoff this year because of the goalposts being moved around. Alabama had a goalpost moved around. They have a loss on the season to a non-top 25 team, or the 25th ranked team now, but a 2-loss team at that time early in the season. Keep in mind, it's one thing to say, oh, we lost to a 2-loss team now as we sit here in early December, but they lost to a 2-loss team over a month and a half ago, like before the first college football playoff rankings even came out. So that's why I'm like,
3-loss team.
3-loss team. So that's,
now.
That's kind of where I'm at when it comes to that. But real quick, Brian Staley says, we have our foot in parts of Cincinnati schools and Alter. As a father of a high school football player, I've seen Notre Dame popularity double and darken Miami schools. So just maybe we can recruit in Ohio. Well, Brian, the emphasis on recruiting, especially at the Catholic schools, that was a big point of emphasis when Brian Kelly was there. That'll continue, and they have the contacts, they have the guys on the ground to be able to recruit there and do it effectively. So no, I'm with you. I think that has been a main point of emphasis here, especially we've seen what the Finke kid from Alter, who had some amazing catches, who was a part of that nice run there with Notre Dame as well. That was cool watching him from Alter do what he did. We had him in studio back when Schlemmer and I were doing the show a while back, which was pretty cool. But no, you're right. I think, look, Notre Dame's going to kill it from a recruiting standpoint in Ohio, but again, they're not going to run into the same players as every other team out there, because there will be the restrictions of how difficult it is to get into Notre Dame on top of it from an academic standpoint. So
for sure. And Notre Dame has their foot all in Cincinnati and all their Catholic schools. I mean, the tight end, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. He's from Cincinnati. He's from one of the Catholic schools down in Cincinnati. So, I mean, they got
Kelsey.
their...
I mean, remember Travis Kelsey, too. I mean, that goes back years, but still.
Yeah, so, I mean, they got it in there. And, having a Marcus Freeman as the head coach now, that's gonna spread you out a little bit. He has obviously connections here in the 937. May take a trip up to Springfield, trip home to Huber, trip up the street.
Springfield, Mo Douglas, state championship game tonight, D1. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner as well. So,
our guy was tweeting about the games. There were games at 10:30 this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the coin flip. I was like, oh, this must have been last night. And it said 10 minutes ago. I was like, they're playing football right now. I'm just eating my ball.
It's a beautiful day to play football.
Absolutely.
There's been some December days that I would hate to have played football. I know some people love that cold weather, but you still got a little bit of that. You still got to wear that jacket. Still got to, have that hot chocolate. You still got to bundle up, but it's not 20. It's not below 20. Like we've seen for some of these. So there you go. All right. That first hour flew by. By the way, we're already technically in hour number 2. So I'm Justin Kenner. He's Kev Nash. You're probably wondering why I'm talking like that. Apparently it's cool when you change your accent up a little bit. I don't know if anyone caught I don't know how anyone did not catch it last night. I mean, Brian Kelly, instantly announces the head coach of the LSU Tigers. And LSU fans, they love the accent. They go Tigers, and they love the hey, I'm from Louisiana, blah, blah, blah. Like, they love all that stuff, okay? And Brian Kelly knows that. He tried to pander to the audience, but he's been the butt end of jokes all day long. If you missed what happened last night at an LSU basketball game as he addressed the fans, it went from what should have been a rah-rah feel-good story like what we saw with Marcus Freeman addressing his team today, and it ended up being very, very comical. So we'll have that coming up for you on the other side. We head into hour number 2. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, presented by OGW Energy Resources, presented by Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, and presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. We will be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Good job.
I got it.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
O'Reilly. This is Claudia's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
I had just moved to a new city and barely even knew where the grocery store was yet. When my car wouldn't start one morning, I didn't know who to ask about local shops. But I remembered a name from back home, O'Reilly Auto Parts. I called and they pointed me to a great mechanic just down the street. Now I feel a little more at home.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, my name is Ted, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Shake is when the peppermint shake is available, that's to me sort of announces that the holiday season is here. I guess most people count down the days until Christmas, but me, I count down the days until the shake comes out.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is that first sip when you taste the peppermint chip pieces, it's like catching snowflakes on your tongue.
Share a peppermint chip milkshake from Chick-fil-A this holiday. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
O'Reilly. This is Claudia's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
I had just moved to a new city and barely even knew where the grocery store was yet. When my car wouldn't start one morning, I didn't know who to ask about local shops. But I remembered a name from back home, O'Reilly Auto Parts. I called and they pointed me to a great mechanic just down the street. Now I feel a little more at home.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's the most wonderful time of the year and time for the legendary Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson Christmas Open House event. Starting on Friday, December 10th through Sunday, December 12th. Take 20% off licensed products, 10% off aftermarket non-Harley-Davidson parts, free gift wrapping, and photos with Santa on Saturday, December 11th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson in Xenia.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Dell's Black Friday event has arrived with up to $400 in savings, including PCs with Intel Core processors. Shop laptops, monitors, and more. Plus, get free shipping. Call 800-BUY-DELL.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, that was 2. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. But yeah, like we said, we were talking about Marcus Freeman earlier. I mean, already going after Brian Hartline of the Buckeyes. And, more teams are going after Ohio State's guys, and Ohio State are going after, key pieces to improve their defense. But this is that weird period of time where it's just a lot of waiting. It's just a waiting game. You got to sit back and wait to see if you're in the playoff. You got to wait for the games to unfold. And by the way, we will see an expanded playoff at some point. I have no doubts about it. But I will miss. Like, this is the last Friday before the games really kick off. I know there's games tonight, obviously, or a game tonight. It's a Pac-12 game tonight.
Yes, sir.
So, but these games matter. Yesterday I hadn't even considered Oregon to still be in the conversation for any of this. But with Ohio State having 2 losses and not playing, if Alabama loses to Georgia, that'll be a 2-loss team. That opens the door for, of course, 2-loss Oregon to come into the equation as a Pac-12 champion. And keep in mind, if Cincinnati wants to brag about their big win over Notre Dame, Oregon gets to bring their win over Ohio State to the equation as well. So that's really what makes Oregon interesting as far as I'm concerned when it really comes down to it.
Not dead yet.
And so, I mean, this is fun. It's not fun. This is not fun. For those of you who want that expanded playoff, imagine if it was a 12-team playoff right now. I wouldn't give 2 rips about these games this weekend. Like, Alabama, Georgia, it's just a matter of, okay, if there was a 12-team playoff this year, Alabama, Georgia, that game would be for seeding purposes.
Right.
Ohio State picks up their second loss against Michigan last week. Now Ohio State's like, well, that's one less game we have to play. It's an extra off weekend. Where are we going to be seated? Ohio State would be in still. Like, do you realize the 12-team playoff? Ohio State would still be in. Oregon would still be in. Alabama could lose to Georgia tomorrow, and they're still in. Cincinnati, I don't know. I don't think they're a lock, even undefeated in the 4th team. I would like to think that for this particular type of season, they would still be in a 12-team. But then that makes that matchup watered down. Like, the American Conference title game has a ton on the line. Like, everything, it's a playoff Saturday tomorrow. Don't tell me that it's only a 4-team. Tomorrow, those are playoff games. Michigan needs to beat Iowa to get to the playoff. Boom. And be Big Ten champion. A lot on the line. Alabama needs to beat Georgia to stay in the playoff. Boom. That's a playoff game. Georgia beats Alabama. It's an elimination game. And all of these games mean something. For every one of you out there that want to try and say that it needs to expand, yes, you will get great matchups in the playoff. And I will watch those matchups. But we will not, a year from now, if they expand it, I won't even care about conference championship Saturday because it would mean absolutely nothing. Now, there is talks of, Ohio State's, the Big Ten commissioner, said Mel Tucker, not Mel Tucker, Kevin Warren. I'm horrible with names. Horrible job to be in, by the way, if you can't remember names. But Kevin Warren is a fan of giving the Power 5 conferences auto bids. Whoever wins the Big Ten championship, the SEC, ACC, automatic entry. You want Wake Forest or Pitt in the college football playoff this year? I'm not going to lose sleep if they're in, but that's, I guess I would elevate that to people tuning in to see, but I'm still going to watch 2 teams that I know aren't playoff caliber, but hey, we got to put them in because of the auto bid. I love the 14 playoff format for this. Every regular season weekend has been awesome because of that, because it's a roller coaster. You don't know. You still don't know tonight. Tomorrow is the last day of games before the selection Sunday, before we get to the actual playoff and bowl games. And there's so much to still be determined. There is nothing set in stone right now. Georgia is the only team that is locked in. Georgia can lose 50-0. They might be flirting with the 4 seed at that point. Georgia can lose 50-0 tomorrow, and Georgia is in. They are the only ones that are locked and ready to go. Everyone else has no idea what their future holds after tomorrow. So 14 playoff, leave it alone, leave it as it is. I know that won't be the case, though.
So let's do this exercise real quick. So obviously, Georgia's in. So we got 3 spots. We got Michigan playing for a spot. We got Bama playing for a spot. We got UC playing for a spot. We got Oklahoma State playing for a spot. We got Notre Dame watching for a spot. We got Ohio State praying for a spot. We got Oregon playing for a spot. So we got 3 spots for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams.
And by the way, 4 spots for 7 teams. You want 12 teams in. And the 7 teams, the last 3 that are fighting for those 4, there's some in-betweeners. Notre Dame's a tweener. Yeah. Ohio State, I love Ohio State. They're a tweener. They could be given the benefit of the doubt and be right up there, but I could also, it's justifiable to keep them out. I'll be upset Sunday if they're not in, if the right matchup, if the right results lead to me thinking they have a chance to get in. I'll be bummed if they don't. But if they're not in, it's their fault. They lost 2 big games they shouldn't have lost, or at least they should have. I would never want to say they shouldn't have lost, but they should have won. Like, you win those, you're in. You win one of those, you're in.
Could have
won. And that's kind of where I'm at, because I'm not going to take anything away from Oregon yesterday. Yes, Oregon won. I still think Ohio State's better than Oregon today, just like that Notre Dame fan believes, same as me. If Notre Dame and Cincinnati played today, Notre Dame would smoke Cincinnati. That's what Notre Dame's fans believe. Can't say roll my eyes at them and say they're crazy, because I truly believe if Ohio State played Oregon today, I don't say they rout Oregon. They win by double digits, though. I thought they would beat Michigan by double digits, too. But, man, if only I watched it like Shaw, I would know exactly what happened.
See, the thing about college football and in general, talking about expanding the playoffs and everything like that, if they go to all the Power 5 teams, get an auto bid to the playoff, and then they leave a spot open to the G5s or whatever, I think the playoff matchups will be better because you'll get more matchups against liking teams. So it's kind of like trading in championship weekend this weekend for potentially better games in the playoffs. We know we're going to get some good games this weekend. We don't know what we're going to get with an expanded playoff. Yep. We think we know. We think that, like, oh man, you expanded to, 8 teams or 12 teams, you're going to get more better games. I'm not necessarily sure that's true, because we don't get a ton of great games when there's only 4 teams.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going for the hopeful versus what we already got. And, that's up for debate.
518-1410. That's the number to call in and join in on the conversation. So, we'll start to take a look at some of these conference championship matchups. More here coming up in a bit. We'll give you our predictions for that, as well as take your predictions. But last night, LSU basketball game, as you mostly say. I mean, look, if you remember, the big turning point in the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry was when Jim Tressel addressed the crowd in that famous line. You know what I mean? Like, it set up the basically the dynasty, the dynasty run for the Buckeyes over that team up north, right? Like, great things happen when a newly anointed head coach gets to address the crowd and get them all fired.
At a basketball game.
And last night at a basketball game, we got to see Brian Kelly address the Tiger fan base. And I keep hearing people say that, like, it's not a good fit, that he's not a good fit at Louisiana. He's not a good fit at LSU and everything. I'm like, look, it doesn't matter. Your job is to go there and coach. I mean, I don't care about, I don't know what that means, a good fit. Like, I mean, I understand what you mean by not a good fit, but, like, what do you mean? Oh, because he doesn't talk like them, because he doesn't have that twang. I do gotta, well, look, let's just play this. So this is Brian Kelly last night addressing the LSU Tiger fan base for the first time since taking over as Tigers head coach. And it makes you a little uncomfortable. Now, to be honest, I haven't paid attention to how he talks a lot before last night. And then when I heard it, I'm like, oh, that's cringeworthy. That's cringeworthy. Am I wrong? Is Kev wrong? Take a listen. Here is Brian Kelly last night at the LSU Tiger game.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana, but more importantly, to be with you great fans and to be part of what is going to be an incredible ride here at Louisiana State University.
With my family. That was Brian Kelly. Now, look, the only part that I actually really cringed at was when he said my family. I don't think the accent is as strong as most people think, but I'm not defending it because I can't see why people jumped on him. They played the press conference from the day before, and he didn't have that twang in his voice, and he was just extra twangy. I don't think that an accent overwhelms you in a new city that quickly. But I truly believe that he was instructed to do that, or at least given advice or bad advice. I mean, it's good. Like, we've seen this in the political world all the time, like Bill Clinton. People mock Bill Clinton's voice or whatever like that, but like that, a lot of that was pressed. A lot of that was pushed when he was in southern states. He would use that accent a little bit more than when he was in different parts of the country, right? I'm not comparing him to Bill Clinton by any means. Well, actually, whatever. You compare him to whoever the hell you want. But my point is that we've seen people on, how to relate to a crowd. If we talk like them, we can relate to them, right? And by the way, me and you were joking about this earlier, and I know I'm going to walk a line here, and that's fine. But that's a white person thing. Why do white people have the we always just seem to have that urge to, oh man, we're around different people than us, so we got to talk like them. I asked you about this earlier. Black people don't do that. Do you go around white people and try to talk like a white person, Kev?
No.
No, you're Kev.
Yeah.
But if I go around,
no code switching for me.
Yeah. I hope I don't do that, but I'm sure I've been guilty of it before, where maybe I change how I talk based on who I'm around and don't even realize you do it. Maybe it's an uncomfortable. Why? Why do white people do that? Why do we do that? I have no clue. I have nothing. But it's true. It's always
phone lines are open.
What's that? It is what it is. Like I said, heading into the weekend, I'll serve my suspension then. But no, I have no clue why he would have to. I mean, Ed Orgeron obviously had that locked in, but Les Miles didn't have to talk like that to fit in at LSU. Nick Saban is just Nick Saban. So why do you have to go and do that accent? Either someone instructed you to do it to try to relate to the Louisiana crowd, or you just were stupid all on your own. I have no idea, but it is. I'm joking, kind of, but it does seem to be like a white person thing, where we just really like to relate to the people around us, and we're going to try and talk like you. No idea. Don't get it.
If anybody told him to put on a fake accent, I can almost guarantee you it's not someone from Louisiana. Because if I'm someone from Louisiana, I would find that offensive. I would find that very offensive. And, kind of how people view Coach O as a caricature of the Louisiana Cajun person or whatever. That would offend me if I'm a person that is born and raised in Louisiana, that has an accent and everything like that. And we have this person from, I believe Brian Kelly's from Boston. I'm not 100% sure where his roots are, but either way, if somebody instructed that somebody in his camp, in Kelly's camp, told him, I do not believe at all that somebody from, the AD at LSU was like, hey man, put on an accent. They'll love it. I can't buy that. I can't buy that. Yeah, he's from Maine. Everett, Maine. They have an accent up there. My aunt, she's born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. And before the pandemic, when she would come home, her, my uncle, and my little cousin would come home to Cleveland for the holidays, she would talk a mile a minute, just like my uncle and my little cousin, everything like that New York accent. But after a week, she would slow down and get back to the way we talk here. And she would call us the week after she's at work, yeah, everybody said I lost my New York accent. I got to be back around my New York people, speed up my speech or whatever. And it was something to laugh about, but it's not fake. She's been living in New York for 30 years. He's been in Louisiana 30 hours. It's cringeworthy. It's nothing to get cancel culture about. It's just cringy and funny.
Oh my goodness. Someone just shot me a note, said I was out of line there. What?
You're out of line.
I offended a white person. I have no clue. I didn't know that was possible. That's what did I say that was wrong? I said nothing wrong there. Go to your local Mexican restaurant and listen to white people order their food. Seriously. It's a margarita. But when you go to a Mexican restaurant, it's a margarita. I'm like, what do you guys do? Just order a damn margarita. Why do you got to do that? I grew up with a Hispanic family, and I witnessed it all the time. My friends just would talk normal, but they'd be around my grandma, around my family. They'd have to talk to my grandma. And they'd have to throw the little, the enchiladas. I'm like, what are you doing? They're just enchiladas. Just say enchilada. Why do you got to say enchiladas? It doesn't make any margarita.
Didn't this happen with a baseball situation earlier over the summer?
Yes, it did. I think it was with Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, and I didn't have a problem with it. And I understand that some people do, but when the announcer says Shohei Ohtani, he kind of tried, you know what I mean? When I heard it, I'm like, I cringed, not because it not because it bothered me, but because I knew it was going to lead to him getting backlash for it. Is basically what has happened here. But I don't look at last night as that, but I don't know. It is.
So out of these two, I think this is a stupid question, so never mind. I won't even ask.
Hey, I just said enchilada, so I think I'm on a roll right now. You might as well just close it out with some more dumbness.
So out of these situations, I guess I would have to rehear the Showtime situation, but like just hearing it, it's just cringeworthy. It's like you don't have to do that. I guess that's my point.
And had he
you don't
talked
have
normal,
to do that.
I don't think it would have even been a headline. Oh man, you hear that? Just plain white guy talk. I don't know if he's going to work here at Louisiana. Like I don't think that's going to work. No one would have said that.
Yeah,
I don't see the purpose of why he did that. It's just kind of silly.
When coaches are introduced to the fan base at these basketball games and everything like that, you are supposed to pander to the crowd. You are supposed to say things like, and I haven't even won all my games yet. All that stuff is there. Just like Tressel said, in 364 days when we play that team up north, I'm gonna make you guys proud. Like he's pandering to the crowd. That's what you're supposed to do. It's a rally, basically.
Yep.
That's what you're supposed to do. But I'm a person that believes into being authentically yourself, no matter what the setting is. And that is just, I just don't understand why people would do that. I don't understand why he thought that was a good idea. Just be yourself. And ultimately, being yourself and winning games is truly only thing that matters. And that is the only reason why Coach O ain't there, because he was of the people. He's from Louisiana. But guess what? He wasn't winning games. That's why he got ousted. So just be yourself and go win football games. You don't have to do this whole song and dance to try to make people like you. Like, it makes no sense. Just go recruit. Go win games. Be yourself. Simple as that.
And go home to your family after. No, and to be honest, he's lucky he did the accent, because you talked about Tressel and others who do these little introductory little speeches to the fans and all that. It's always, we're going to do this. We're going to make you proud. The line that made me cringe, I didn't cringe at the family line. I didn't cringe at the accent. I thought that was just humorous. I thought he looked silly and sounded silly, but whatever. I thought that the line that I was just like, dude, I defended you all week. You are an egotistical weirdo, man. Like, when you go, I haven't even won.
He's pandering. Yeah, that's what he's supposed to do,
I know,
though.
but like, there was no we in there. Like, we haven't even won all our games.
I.
Yeah,
okay,
he said I.
okay,
That's what I meant by that. Like, the line that I cringed at last night, it was not family. It was not the accent. I mean, I get why people are jumping on it because he sounded foolish. It didn't even bother me. The line that bothered me was when he goes, I haven't even won all my games yet, and you're cheering me, by golly, I tell you what. Like, I mean, I'm like, dude, you haven't even won all your games yet? Marcus Freeman, did you see how he addressed his team today? Was no, I can't wait to win games here. I can't wait to change things up around here. He kept saying, we, you. Again, I'm nitpicking a little bit, but
no,
like,
that's real,
for a guy that has that has an aura about him that the common perception is that he's just an a-hole and that he's a selfish dude. In the first words out of your mouth with that Louisiana little kiss on it, I haven't even won all my games yet. Here, if you're just tuning in, just take a look one more time.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started, and I haven't even won all my games yet.
Oh, what a weirdo. I like that. That's the line, Kev. That line right there is why I'm like, look, all week I still will continue defending his decision to go to LSU. You had every right to do it. You had every right to leave when you did, because if you didn't, you would be like Luke Fickell without the job that you were most likely going to take. So I have no problem with that. But like this, I can't defend that. Like he's lucky. Like I said, I do believe people would have jumped on that had he not try to soup it up with the accent. And now that's all everyone's talking about. So he actually got bailed out. The accent actually saved him as far as I'm concerned. But now he has a decision to make, Kev. Do you keep that accent moving forward?
He got a lot of interviews to do with that accent.
I mean, at least, Kev, I'm so glad he didn't end it with a "Go Tigers" or something like that. Like, that would have been even more cringeworthy. But yeah, he hasn't even won all his games yet. Gosh. Holy moly. All right. A lot of big games, college championship weekend, a lot of big games in the NFL this weekend. Two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Bengals Chargers this weekend. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. It's a big game. Like, Bengals fans and the Bengals organization kind of took offense to the fact that they were not flexed to the primetime game. And I'm not going to lie to you. After the way the Bengals have looked since coming out of their bye week, the fact that you have Joe Burrow and you have Justin Herbert and you have two hot teams in the AFC right now, I have no clue why that's not the night game. I don't know what game got flexed.
Broncos.
It's Chiefs. So it was Patrick Mahomes apparently is a bigger ratings draw than Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. I don't know. I have no interest in watching that. I mean, that's not true. I'm going to watch it because it's Patrick Mahomes, but I feel like the Chargers and Bengals is a bigger draw. I'm very surprised that was not kind of flexed there, especially when they had to choose which game to flex, and they chose the Patrick Mahomes Denver Broncos one. It's not like, Aaron Rodgers got traded there or something like that. You know what I mean? To the Broncos, it was Patrick Mahomes against Aaron Rodgers. We're talking about the Bengals and the Chargers, 7-win Bengals team, top Chargers team, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. That's what I'd love to see. And right now, like I said earlier, don't take offense, Bengals fans. I took my troll hat off today. I have no interest in stirring the pot today, so just relax. But it's Joe's team, but it's looking more and more like it's Joe Mixon's team. I think the way for this team to win and win the division, make the playoffs, it's not Joe Burrow, it's Joe Mixon. Because ever since they've switched focus to being a run-centric team, they've looked like a completely different team. It's been complemented by the defense.
Yeah.
But the only thing I'll point out is the karma of everyone that made fun of how the Browns run their offense. The Cincinnati Bengals are doing the exact same thing, limiting the quarterback to throwing under 30 times, extra emphasis on the run game, complemented by good defense.
It's how they should have been playing last year at his rookie year,
but
instead of putting it all on the shoulders.
Now, in their defense, and I said this, and people thought I was just hating, but what I said was that the Bengals, to be good this year, they could not make the mistake that the Browns did, and that was get too excited about your new toy. Now the Bengals were smart enough to fix things mid-season as opposed to wait till the offseason to do it. So I'll give the Bengals
Zach
credit
Taylor
here.
might be coming on the show.
No.
You just gave him props.
No, he's setting up a good roster for the next good coach that comes. No, he made these adjustments. I will give him credit for that. But what I said that the Bengals were going to do that was going to cost them was get too caught up in the Joe Burrow buzz. Oh, we got our quarterback, and now we go get Jamar Chase, and now we're just going to sling it all over the field, and we're going to make some noise. And they did make noise. They made a lot of electric plays. If you could go back and look, though, Jamar Chase has been really ineffective for over a month now. He's been solid, but he hasn't put up he had that 200-yard game against the Ravens. He had 140 or whatever it was against the Packers. He had those big plays. But I kept pointing out all year, you guys are falling in love with that one big burst play a game, because at the beginning of the season it was, oh man, right, and usually right before halftime. It was always weird, the timing of it. But he would have these 100+ yard games, but it would always be one play that would take up 60 or 70 yards of it, and then the box score at the end shows these massive numbers. And I'm like, not taking that one play away, but you guys you're falling in love with that one big play a game and not realizing that it's not a full 4-quarter impact that he's making or Joe Burrow's making, plus he's throwing a lot of interceptions. Since coming out of that bye week, their defense has won them games and Joe Mixon's won them games, and they've limited how many times Joe Burrow throws the ball because he's turning the ball over too much. Folks, I'm spitting facts right now. I have not stirring the pot here, but don't give me the benefit of the doubt because it's me and I haven't earned that from you, so that's fine. But I just laugh because so many people rip the Browns for, they don't trust their quarterback. They're limiting how much they let Baker throw, and they're focusing on the run game, and they're focusing on the defense. And I'm only laughing because the Bengals are that same team. They almost made the same mistake the Browns did in year 2 of Baker. Remember, we have our quarterback, so let's go get OBJ. Let's throw it all over the field. And they never made adjustments throughout that season to focus on the run game and not focus so much on the pass game. Freddie Kitchens and company would not make that adjustment. Zach Taylor said, I know we got super jacked about going to get Jamar Chase with T. Higgins and Boyd with Joe Mixon in the backfield, of course, and having Joe Burrow. But I love that they said, we got to slow down on our pass game. We're turning the ball over too much. I know it's fun to win in the air, but it's fun to win, and we're not winning as much as we thought. You lost to the Jets with the heavy emphasis on the pass game. You lost to the Browns trying to out Joe Burrow the Browns. And since they've taken that step back and they focused on Joe Mixon in the run game and they focused on the defense, and that's been buttoned up, that's why the Bengals will win the division if they keep it up, and that's why they'll probably get a playoff win. They're good enough to get a playoff win if they stick to that model, but they are. They're the Cleveland Browns. I know people think I'm trolling them. I'm not, and you could think I'm trolling, and that's fair. I earned that, but I don't think I'm not making that much sense here. Like they are. It's the same model that the Browns use to win all the games they did last year and to get a playoff win.
If it gets you the dub, that's what counts. How you get it really don't matter. And I'm expecting a big game from Joe Burrow in the passing game because the Chargers pass defense is garbage. And I watched it firsthand because I actually watched the Pittsburgh Steelers pass the ball on them left and right. And we know how bad the Pittsburgh Steelers are at passing the ball. Black and yellow still. Go Steelers. And I do have it's still black and yellow, even though we suck.
My family.
It's all good. I do have a theory about why they flex the Chiefs Broncos. Broncos are 6-5. KC is 7-4, and they play in the same division. So it's more on the line that game. That's my theory about why they flexed it.
Tighter. Yeah. And where are the Chargers at in their division? You just said
Chargers are tied for second. I think everybody
like
is
the AFC
second.
is just one big jumbled, not a mess. It's a jumbled masterpiece. Like this is exciting. Even me, who I'm the big Bengals hater, right? I would have rather in prime time watched Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert instead of that. But it doesn't matter. Bottom line, it's still gonna be a good game either way. But
yeah, AFC West, my bad. AFC West, KC 7-4. Chargers, Broncos, Raiders, all 6-5. So that's why.
You couldn't go wrong either way. Bengals 7-4. But 518-1410. Ron Broadstock says, "Sorry, I disagree. I believe the Bengals can base their offense on what the defense is giving them." No, I'm not going to allow you to do that because no, Bengals fans, you're not allowed to think that way because you were never thinking that way with the Browns. It was, if he's throwing under 30, it's because he stinks. But when your quarterback throws under 30, it's because, they're just taking what the defense gives. So you mean to tell me the Browns weren't taking what the defense gave them? That only is the excuse for your team because it might, it is what it is. I'm not going to get heated today. I'm not trying to get in a big debate. I gave you actual data to show that that's actually the team's better when there's less Joe Burrow. More Joe, less Joe. More Joe Mixon, less Joe Burrow. I know I did this segment earlier on in the week when Kev was out, but it's worth looking into again heading into the weekend because 4-11-1 is the record of the Bengals when Joe Burrow throws the ball more than 30 times. Like, you guys got to stop. You got to stop telling me I'm wrong here. That's the data. It's right there. The Browns are 14-22 whenever Baker Mayfield throws the ball more than 30 times. So the proof is in the pudding. It's right there. And by the way, I think they could throw more than 30 times if they wanted, if they can get. And I think Joe Burrow will get better with the turnovers. Like Baker in year 3, he really elevated his game. Burrow is a lot further along in his pass game than Baker was in year 2. But the only thing he's equal with Baker is the fact that he's a turnover machine right now. I think if they can limit the turnovers for Joe Burrow next season and he takes that next step with his big playmaking ability with his arm, then Burrow will go into that elite status. But until he has to stop turning the ball over, Kev. Like, that's really the reality of it. He has to stop turning the ball over. Pittsburgh, I know your team did not play well. He threw a pick, obviously, but he also almost threw 3 picks. He had 2 interceptions that were dropped. 2 interceptions that were dropped. I'm not piling on here, guys. I'm just pointing out.
Yeah, they missed the opportunity for their defense to give them some more sacks on Ben.
So,
because we weren't going to move it past the 50 anyway.
All right, we'll step away for. All right, the phone lines are full. We're going to talk with everyone on the other side of the break. I see Bob Love is called in. Shout out to Bob. Haven't heard from him in a while, so we'll talk with Bob. We'll talk. Who's our phone line? Oh, is it Shaw?
We got Nick, Shaw, and Mr. Love.
Mr. Love, huh? Well, you know what, Shaw, I'm just going to let you know now, we ain't going to you anytime soon. It's your punishment for talking bad about us all week. Shaw talked so much. He called us liars. He called us names. He went at Jason Fitz. Don't embarrass it. Look, we're little old Dayton, Ohio. We don't deserve to have a national host join us weekly. And then you sit there and almost ruin it, Shaw. You start bad-mouthing him, telling him he's going to get his, whatever that means. I don't even know what that means. What do you mean he's going to get his? You threatening our national guest, Shaw? For that, you get to listen to the Iowa fight song.
I was going to ask you, what music is this?
Go Hawkeyes.
Oh.
Go Hawkeyes. Tomorrow, we are going for the black and yellow.
I love Kurt Ferentz.
I like black and yellow mixed with the Iowa fight song.
Look at you, DJ Kenner.
Mirror, 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 mirror. My family. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny, a high near 53. Tonight will be mostly clear, a low near 34. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 50. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Take home Fricker's Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho! For fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus, home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well, medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
This is Ice-T,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
Looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
We're going to need to fire up the plow, the big one.
Forecast is 6 feet of snow and 66 new customers for Trin Snow Service.
Hey, Terry,
She needs more drivers before business melts away.
What do you mean Dee can't drive? I thought he was certified.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Santa here. I used to shop online, but they don't have anything in stock. Now I go to the Hobby Shop, where I save money by getting fun and exciting gifts in stock from a locally owned small business that beats Amazon. The Hobby Shop near the Dayton Mall has the latest RC planes by Hobby Zone and the toughest radio control trucks from Arma. Want to go fast? The Hobby Shop has no prep drag cars in stock from Low C. Keep your money local. Their shelves are stocked at the Hobby Shop, just north of the Dayton Mall, across the street from Lowe's. Call 436-6161.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
My son is not some statistic.
My daughter's not a headline. My girl, she's not someone's agenda.
What she
is
irreplaceable.
COVID hospitalizations of young people have tripled since the start of summer. So I talked to my daughter's doctor about COVID vaccines.
She said they're highly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, even from the Delta variant.
We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Hey, I'm College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Soft Water. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Soft Water is the home of the 7-year, worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my 3rd year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Soft Water. Glazier Water is better water.
This is the sound of a popular American motorcycle. It's the sound of freedom, the open road, really good times. And this is what it sounds like with a drunk guy in it. How do you like the sound of that? Cops are cracking down on drunk motorcycle riders. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested. Drunk riding, over the limit, under arrest. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Audible is best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, and podcasts all in one app. This holiday season, treat yourself with 60% off your first 3 months. Just visit audible.com for more details.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You're probably wondering, that ain't Ohio State's fight song. No, that's Iowa. Go Hawkeyes, baby. Our adoptive team for the weekend. Of course, go Bearcats, yes, Ohio team, but go Hawkeyes. Beat that crappy team up north. Revenge our loss, because, Iowa, they really care about that. They really care about defending the honor of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Absolutely.
As far as that's concerned.
I love Kurt Finger.
By the way, Shaw, he's trying to admit he was wrong. This is David Shaw on Facebook. He says, not trying to suck up, but I'm a 2-year-old just like the host sometimes. Good start. So I apologize for all that. I raised my hand. I can't admit when I was wrong. My bad. Like I told you, Shaw. In fact, I'm not even going to make you wait to bring you on. I'm not going to bring you on at all. I told you, change your Facebook picture or you're not coming on the show anymore. You don't get to be a Michigan fan whenever you actually utter the words, I'm not going to watch the game. We're just going to lose. You had no faith in your team at all. And now that they've won, you've been chirp, 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 chirp. And if there's one thing I hate, it's people who brag about their team. What?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Old knuckler. Yeah, exactly. All right, what's going on here? I'm not going to even get into all that with him. It is what it is. Charles Mitchell, he didn't like my Bengals take earlier. That's fine. I use logic, and I can see where that loses some people, like Charles. He says the Bengals are a better organization with better coaches and better players. Baker just flat out cannot lead a team. He just did it a year ago, and he's playing hurt this year, but that's okay. Burrow understands what needs to be done to win. So does the quarterback that cut his turnovers in half from one year to the next because he bought into the system. But that's okay. I get what you're saying. Be excited. We are better, and we will win the North. Hooday. Cleveland is trash. That's okay. I like that. Just say what you got to say. Whatever makes you. I mean, it is what it is. I say what I need to say about their team. They can say what they need to about mine. It all helps us sleep at night, really, at the end of the day. But like I told you, so Kevin and I were talking during the break. I'm like, I'm not going to lie. Being a troll is exhausting, and I'm exhausted. So I'm done for at least a while. I'm retiring from being a troll for a little bit. But it doesn't mean that my takes are necessarily going to change. I'm just going to change how I deliver them and hope that leads to a better relationship between me and y'all. Y'all, look at me. I'm the head coach of LSU, my family. Holy moly.
Oh, that was spectacular. Terrible.
We've covered a lot today. Marcus Freeman, official at Notre Dame, his introduction, the way he dressed his team today was freaking awesome, man. I don't know if you saw it, but when the assistant coach or whoever introduced him, and he just came barging through that door, and those students went nuts, man. Like they fed off that energy. That's why he was hired right there. Like that energy. Just again, Dayton zone, Wayne zone. I don't know how does that work? How far out do you have to, You know what I mean? Like people get mad all the time sometimes. You say Dayton zone. Like some people get territory. Yeah. Like Franklin is not the 937, right?
No, Franklin's 513, yeah.
So one time I referenced, Dayton zone Luke Kennard. We can't claim him, right? How's that work?
No.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And I knew that was fringe. Wayne's not, though.
Yeah, that's
Hubert. He's Dayton's freaking own right there. Marcus freaking Freeman. Greater Dayton. There we go. Holy moly. All right.
Yeah, because think about it. Like all the big time basketball players from New York City. Like they're like from the Bronx or Manhattan or wherever. They say New York.
Mark Smith on Facebook says, Kenner, I still don't understand how an NFL team gets 4 turnovers and doesn't win. Cleveland has serious issues. I don't need to watch Cleveland cause 4 turnovers and not win a game to admit that they have issues. I know they have issues. If you prioritize the issues, Baker's not even in the top 3 right now. They have no wide receivers that can make plays or catch the damn ball. And I know I sound like I'm flip-flopping because I absolutely am. I thought that Cleveland had one of the best wide receiving corps coming into the season. I thought Donovan Peoples-Jones was going to take that next big leap. I thought that Schwartz and some of these guys were going to, add to the speed to the outside. We're not, obviously injuries, have plagued them all year. OBJ obviously didn't work out. Jarvis Landry has checked out obviously since then, although he did have his best game of the season against Baltimore. But we've seen some horrible performances from Jarvis. One of the worst of his career was against Pittsburgh, and the Browns lost a few weeks ago when there was 5 drops in that game. There was a lot of critical drops. Baker still moved the ball up and down the field despite all of that. But even in that last drive, look, it sounds like I'm just making excuse after excuse. But Kurt Warner put out a good piece last night, basically kind of shutting everyone up about, hey, Baker's had his issues this year, yes, but if you're putting that on him, he goes, you don't know football. And I was like, yeah. I can't say that because I haven't done it. I haven't played enough football in my life to sit here and act like I know it all. But I do know that the Browns have a lot of issues, and it is not. I mean, when you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb who combined for 30+ yards. Sorry, that's Baker's fault. Yep. 5 drops from the wide receivers, tight ends. Yep, that's Baker's fault. The defense, who played outstanding, forced 4 turnovers, but still lets Lamar Jackson just, scramble all over the place and heave it up in the air. And yes, I'm not blaming the defense for those one individual plays, but at the same time, it's like those are weird plays that the Browns, I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt on because they give up those plays all year. Like, yes, they got to Lamar Jackson. They were able to sack and put pressure on him. They were able to force some turnovers. But it's like, my goodness. It's like every time they play great, they still always have to make 1 or 2 boneheaded decisions that lead to a wide open receiver in the end zone. And I'm not taking anything away from Baltimore executing on offense, but at the same time, you should never be wide, butt naked open, as Kevin always said.
Butt naked, not in the NFL.
And that happened on more than one occasion. That dumb pass interference. If all you do is just slow down and just go, that was a 5th interception waiting for him right there. It is frustrating. But yes, the Browns do have problems. I am 1,000,000% in agree that the Browns have problems. So it is what it is. They have serious issues. Shaw said, nope, Shaw is non-existent. I told him to change his profile picture. He said he won't, so he's non-existent. So I'm going to acknowledge that he's there and messaging. I'm just not going to read his messages or take his calls.
Kind of like how there aren't any baseball players in the MLB.
There really aren't right now. Did you see the profile pictures change?
They changed them again? No more shadows?
No, the players, they changed their profile pictures to the shadows.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see that.
They're taking a bad situation and, at least having some fun with it. So that's all you can do. But 518-1410. Real quick, TJ Brescher. Hope I say your name right, dude. He's a Bulldog fan. Georgia, I'm assuming. He goes, the Bulldogs will keep the game close just to get 2 SEC teams in.
Don't play with fire.
Georgia fan,
Don't play with fire.
Look, like I said earlier, Georgia definitely wants to win that game. They want to be the 1 seed. They're in the playoff no matter what.
And you want to be the champion of your league.
And Kirby Smart especially, that there's some Nick Saban incentives in those contracts. If every time you beat, how dominant you have to be as a coach that you are an incentive in other coaches' contracts. To be fair, Harbaugh's, I'm assuming, is an incentive in Ryan Day's contract, but that's more Michigan, the program. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do think that when Saban leaves, there might be that leftover aura of Alabama that you might keep. Hey, every time you beat Bama, you get a raise or you get a bonus or what have you, but that'll fade after time. You know what I mean? We've seen, Georgia's a good program, but I don't believe Nick Saban's getting bonuses for beating Georgia. I don't think there's any team that Bama beats that gets Nick Saban a bonus unless it's in the SEC title game. You know what I'm saying? So, that's how dominant you have to be. You have to be a bullet point in the incentive part of the opposing coach's contract. Nick Saban is an incentive bullet point in Kirby Smart's contract. That's so crazy to me.
It's probably for all rivalry games. I'm sure there's probably a bonus for Nick Saban in the Iron Bowl versus Auburn and everything like that. Even though Auburn isn't Alabama, it's still something like that. But as you talk about Harbaugh and Ohio State and his incentive-laden contract and everything like that, you talked about it earlier in the week. He couldn't even let the week go by and let the great deed that he did go without trying to get some brownie points. Like he had to call a press conference to announce like, yeah, the money, my bonus that I've earned by beating the team, Ohio, I'm giving it back to the athletic program.
There was a different way to do that. Like you could have done a press release without having to, I don't know. Maybe
it almost is like when people on social media take pictures of themselves giving money to the homeless. Like it just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't like that type of stuff, man. If you're doing something out of the kindness of your heart, just do it. Like I don't need the media there to say, look what he did. That's awesome. And he did this because he beat Ohio State. Like, yeah, you beat Ohio State. Your team beat Ohio State fair and square. Props to you. Congratulations to all the true Michigan fans and all that type of stuff. But I'm giving the money back that I've earned because, I beat them. Like,
Harbaugh is good at giving money back. How much money he had to give back to keep his job? I mean, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. But to be fair, that is really cool what he did.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But no doubt
got to get that out of the way. But no, I even brought that up to you the other day. I just thought that was kind of strange. 518-1410. 518-1410. Let's go to Bob. Bob, how are you, sir? Do we not have Bob anymore?
We lost Bob. Nick is online too.
All right. Nick, how are you, sir?
Oh, no.
And then we have Shaw on line 3, but he is non-existent, so we will skip over him. I know we have Tyler, Mike, and Tim, a couple others on hold. We'll get to you guys coming up here in a minute. Ron Broadstock says, per Twitter, the committee is foregoing Michigan in the playoffs and putting Ohio State in just to troll Shaw.
I'm with it.
Yep. Man, that's another game he won't watch this year.
Oh, matter of fact. No. Wrong music. You know what music to put on. No, the other one. That one. Yeah.
Fe-Am-ily.
Yeah. So, everybody in the chat, I need to see them hawk emojis in the chat. I need to see those. Yes, there's hawk emojis. I need to see those hawk emojis in the chat because we here at 1410 Wing AM, we are the home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And since our beloved Buckeyes lost to that team up north, we are hate watching. So our team for the week is the Iowa Hawkeyes. Yes, I know. All throughout the summer, I talked about how much I hated Kirk Ferentz and how I think he's a scumbag and yada, yada, yada. Still true. I still do. But guess what? I'm rooting for his team this Saturday, as you should too. I need to see those Hawks in the chat just for a specific person out there.
We head into hour 3. I don't think this has ever been done before, but IO.
WA.
There we go, baby. Go Hawkeyes. We'll be back in a moment.
You had me confused.
I know. OH? What?
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
O'Reilly. This is Claudia's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
I had just moved to a new city and barely even knew where the grocery store was yet. When my car wouldn't start one morning, I didn't know who to ask about local shops. But I remembered a name from back home, O'Reilly Auto Parts. I called and they pointed me to a great mechanic just down the street. Now I feel a little more at home.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, my name is Ted, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A peppermint chip shake is when the peppermint shake is available, that's to me sort of announces that the holiday season is here. I guess most people count down the days until Christmas, but me, I count down the days until the shake comes out.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A peppermint chip milkshake is that first sip when you taste the peppermint chip pieces, it's like catching snowflakes on your tongue.
Share a peppermint chip milkshake from Chick-fil-A this holiday. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
It's the most wonderful time of the year and time for the legendary Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson Christmas Open House event. Starting on Friday, December 10th through Sunday, December 12th. Take 20% off licensed products, 10% off aftermarket non-Harley-Davidson parts, free gift wrapping, and photos with Santa on Saturday, December 11th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson in Xenia.
Tackle tough jobs with Bosch power tools and accessories from Menards. From the workshop to the job site, Bosch packs the performance and features you need to get the job done right. That's why Bosch is the choice of pros. And with Menards' trusted team and huge selection of over 500 Bosch tools, bits, blades, and accessories, finding the right tool is easy. Save big on Bosch tools and accessories at Menards. Plus, a Menards gift card is always a great gift idea.
More seasons, greetings to you all from Menards. Take home Fricker's Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please. Frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho! For fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
Mucinex DM's bilayer tablet allows for immediate and extended release, relieving both wet and dry coughs and loosening chest congestion for 12 hours. Available at Walmart.
Don't miss the only weekly hour of radio dedicated to Dayton Flyers basketball. It's Talking Out Loud, hosted by Sully. Thursday nights at 6 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, and online at wingam.com. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, hour 3. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Big Ten Championship game tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt on the call. How about that? You know, and tomorrow should be Ohio State. That's just it should be, but it's not. Michigan, they won. For all of you who watched. I guess, you and I have a lot more in Shaw. We have a lot more in common with Shaw than we thought. We also won't be watching our team tomorrow.
That is also a fact.
Oh, he did watch. I didn't.
Cap.
Convenient. Does he still have his Michigan thing in there? Yes, he does. Okay, he's non-existent. Doesn't count. Change your profile picture, Sean. Until then, not welcome.
Dang.
Fine.
Dang, Shaw, you gonna give up like that?
So what's the line for that game tomorrow? Not Ohio State. Yeah, whatever. Iowa, Michigan, Big Ten championship game. I mean, that's so cool for Michigan to finally get there.
It is.
It's so cool.
Is.
Sarcasm, but it's cool. They finally did it. They're like that. I think I can. They're an inspiration to everyone out there who doesn't accomplish anything and then finally does, and that's that team up north. It doesn't mean make you a success. It just means you had a successful moment. More power to you. I'm a little mad at myself for wearing blue today. It is when I went to the local TJ Maxx. They had a bunch of Iowa stuff last week. They didn't have any Iowa stuff this week. Apparently, Iowa fans are swarming the 937 and Franklin to, just gobble up all the Iowa, all the gear. Couldn't find any gear. But, IO, WA.
What do you think the turnout's going to be like? You think it's going to be deep there tomorrow in Indy?
Well, I'm still I poked fun at Cincinnati yesterday because they get to actually host their conference champ, but I believe that you should. I believe that if you are competing in the Big Ten or the conference championship, that again, it doesn't work that way. I get it because of the sites and they make money and all that stuff. But to me, imagine an extra home game at the Shoe every year or the Big Ten championship game. Or if Michigan, the Big House, got to host Iowa for the Big Ten championship game, I think that would just mean more. And I think that if they do expand the playoff and try to do this BS of every conference champion, gets in, then let those games be played on the home field of the team so that there's even more incentive to get to the conference championship game. I hate neutral sites. I can't stand it. I hate the fact that it's in Indianapolis. Even when Ohio State's there and they fill the place up, that's super. I still just think it would mean more if they were playing at the Shoe, or if they're the lower seed, playing at that, at Michigan or wherever. But I believe it should be held on the home, with the higher seed. That's how I view it. But
I have no problem with a neutral site game for a conference championship game and bowl games and everything like that. I'm not a fan of neutral site games during the regular season. Alabama's famous for the neutral site game versus a powerhouse team or a powerhouse name team or whatever at Jerry's World or at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta or at the Superdome in New Orleans and everything like that. And those matchups are great on paper until you get to the matchup and realize, well, this is just really a glorified home game for what other Southern team is playing in that game. And it doesn't have that college atmosphere that we all want. Because, yes, the college football game is great and everything like that, but we really love it because of the atmosphere and the pageantry and yada, 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 all that type of stuff. I'm not a fan of those type of games. So, but I mean, this is cool. I mean, it's in a central location, especially for us as Ohio State fans and living in Dayton, Ohio. When we went to the Big Ten championship game several times, I went when we lost to Sparty. That would have been Braxton's junior year. That would have been Braxton's junior year. They stuffed us on a 4th and 1. I went to that game, unfortunately, but then I was in the building for that beatdown we gave Wisconsin, and it was over at halftime, and all the Wisconsin fans left at halftime. And I remember when we were scored, I think it was like 35-0 at the time going into halftime. And, me and the wife and my brother there were cheering, we're going crazy. Like, oh man, we're blowing them out. We're in the Big Ten championship game, yada, yada, yada. Not even thinking about the college football playoff at that time. And I turned around to high five somebody else because, hey, we're all Buckeyes, right? It was a Wisconsin fan, but he had a red jersey on. So obviously I see red. I think Buckeye. Oh, I was like, dude, I am so sorry. I promise I wasn't trying to rub it in your face. I thought you were an Ohio State fan. He forgave me, offered to buy me a beer. Fun fact.
Not a crybaby like Shaw.
They don't serve, well, at least when I went, they didn't serve beer at the stadium because it was a college game. Now, they've changed those rules because they serve beer at Ohio Stadium now. But at the time, they didn't sell beer at those games because it was a college game. But now they do. So maybe I need to go back. Would have went back this year when we were playing, but we lost to them bums up north.
I've never gone to a Big Ten
good
title game in Indy.
Very good time.
And every year I say I'm going to, but then we get to it, I'm like, I'll just watch on TV.
Because you know why you do that? Because there's a lot of other good games on. And that is one thing about...
I'm getting older and I just don't like crowds, man. Like people
that
suck.
drive, bro. That drive. Like, so the first year we went to the Sparty game.
Indy's 2 hours. That ain't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. But our hotel was a dump. It was the Knights Inn. We decided to go very last second. We got the tickets like on a Thursday, but the hotel on a Thursday, terrible. Went into the room, Roach Motel, basically. We were like, we're not staying here. We're going to go to the game and drive home. That was horrible because the traffic on the way back was terrible, and we had lost the game. Now, the following year where we beat Wisconsin, we had a nice hotel, nice downtown spot. We won. We got drunk. We had a good time. Great time. So everybody from Iowa that's going to the game, good luck tomorrow. Hope you guys have a blast. Hope you get that W because you deserve it. Kurt Ferentz deserves it.
I-O.
W-A.
There we go. Can I get an I-O-W-A chant going in the chat section?
Hawks in the chat, baby.
Go Hawks. I-O-W-A, baby. Let's go. So Eric Pugh on Facebook says Michigan fans suck as people. They're the scum of the earth. That's the spirit. That's what I like to hear. Last week I wasn't about that life. Last week I was like, you know what? No, I want Michigan fans to be welcome and comfortable here, but like the problem is you got Shaw leading the way, and I don't want him comfortable. It is what it is. So Eric also says that the Hawkeyes are going to beat them. Just watch. I got another score prediction in here, Kev. Mark Smith on Facebook. He says that I'm calling the score right now, 28-17 Hawkeyes. Yeah. I-O.
W-A.
I-O.
W-A.
I-O.
W-A.
There we go. No kidding. It's a good day. All right, Bengals fans, you were in for a treat. What line? All right. The one, the only, the true American, Steve from Springboro. Steve, you finally called, my friend. How are you?
Just working a lot, dude. I listen, like I said, I do listen to you guys when I'm in the truck every day, but a lot of times I don't get off till 6 o'clock, so the show's over by then, and, I got to keep my eyes on the road. I can't be dialing in and trying to talk and trying to drive, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
I already got hit once by a semi back in the spring. I don't think I can take another one, you know what I mean?
That poor semi. I can't imagine what that semi looked like after you got done with it. My goodness. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah. Hey, first things first, I hope that the Hawkeyes absolutely, positively destroy that team up north. I hope they don't even score a damn point.
Yeah.
I can't stand anything about Harbaugh that, the song, don't give a damn about the whole state of Michigan. This is for you, Shaw, since I'm trash, because a few weeks back he called me trash after I called in. Never met the guy. But if that's the kind of man he is, that's, being a fan of that team up north, I can understand that. Plus, he's a Bengals fan on top of it, so he's already a double loser.
Double?
Long story short, yeah, double loser. I was listening. Is there any way that you have any connection with ESPN at the top guys in Bristol? Could they please get somebody different on them talk shows first thing in the morning? I am so sick and death of Kellerman, and I'm getting kind of tired of Keyshawn. And who's the other dude? Jay Will.
Oh, Jay Will.
Yeah, and I'm not real great about Greeny either. He's he jumped on the Browns bandwagon at the first of the year and yada, yada, yada. Now all he does is cut them up with, insult after insult.
Well, they're making it difficult. The Browns are making it difficult for people to love. I'm telling you, the Browns are like that ugly baby. They have the face that only a parent can love, and I think that's the Browns right now. But I still love them.
I'm going to love them guys till the good Lord takes my last breath. I don't care. And they made a comment today, what almost made me wreck, and then I almost wanted to throw up. They tried to compare Collie McCalkin down here, that's still in his diapers. They tried to compare him to Joe Montana and to Joe Namath. He couldn't even carry their jockstrap. So, they need to pump their brakes and slow their roll on that one right there. The guy ain't done nothing. They ain't done nothing. They're not going to win the division. I'm not worried about that, and I don't even really think that they're going to get a wild card. There's 6 games left. That's a lot of football. So let's just see what happens.
He's not even the best Joe on his team.
Do what?
He's not even the best Joe on his team. Hello, Joe.
Well, they're talking about these, and what gets me with these analysts? They're not analysts. They're analysts. And what gets me with them? 2/3 of them never coached down a football, don't know a thing about football, and yet they're experts. And it's always with each Monday morning. It's always the flavor of the week. Who are we going to jump on? Now they're back on Dallas's bandwagon. Then they were off. Now they're back on. And at least stay consistent when you're reporting stuff. Don't And everybody wants to talk about. And I've never liked you. You either hate or you love Dallas. Well, I'm sorry, I hate them. I've hated them since I was a kid, and I'll continue to hate them. There's 32 teams in the NFL, and the thing about them that makes them America's team in my book. So,
real quick before you bounce out, I got a question for you. Would you be interested in being Santa Claus for our work Christmas party? There we go, like a bowl full of Jello. What jelly? What was that little psycho? Yeah, that was quite the chuckle right there. That was perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I need a tough Santa. I don't need the fat and jolly Santa. I need the tough Santa. That's you.
Can I come in with my cutoff sleeves with my brown stuff?
I would be disappointed if you didn't. I'm also supposed to tell you that Tony said to smile for him.
Oh, Tony's a cool dude. I've always liked Tony. That goes back to the Slimmer days and O&E and everything.
The umbrella, I'm sure he wants me to bring up the umbrella as well.
Yeah, with putting the umbrellas in the Bud Light line, yeah.
There you go.
Good for that one.
Hey, Shaw just messaged in. He said he'd rather be a fan of a winning team like Michigan than a loser team like the Browns. This guy, I tell you.
Okay. What is it? A winning team like Michigan, they've won. What's Harbaugh's record? Is it slaw or is it shaw? Because slaw is a real soft, no substance kind of food. I don't like it. Usually when I take a bite of it, I spit it out anyway. Hey, I might stop in and see you guys Sunday since we've got a bye week. I don't know, dude. I think we need to I maybe need to sit Baker, and then let him see what happens next year. Get his surgery took care of, and we'll take it from there, man. I would love to see us get either Garrett Wilson or Olave in the draft. I don't know if we could pull it off because we need a deep threat where Baker can have that, where you got the deep threat where you can stretch that defense, and you come underneath with your backs and your tight ends. That would make that offense a whole lot better. I'll let you go, man.
Hey,
Go
real
Browns.
quick. No, you got to end it like this. Listen, because today we are anti-Michigan like we are every other day, but we're especially against them because we're going for Iowa in the Big Ten Championship, Steve. So instead of the OHIO, I'm going to say IO, and you give us a WA. Can you do that?
Sure.
All right. IO!
WA, dude.
There we go. There we go. That's all I needed. I guillotined him, too. I didn't even let him finish his point. I got all excited because he was a passionate WA. IOWA, Iowa is going to mop the field with that team up north, and that's all I care about.
I like it.
We'll be back in a few moments.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny, a high near 53. Tonight will be mostly clear, a low near 34. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 50. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
You love Zoom for video meetings? Now, choose Zoom to power your phone communications too. Zoom Phone works seamlessly within the Zoom app as your business phone system. Zoom Phone's secure HD audio and enterprise-grade reliability keep you connected to your teams and your customers. And it's easy to use on mobile, desktop, or desk phone. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Zoom, how the world connects.
This is Claudia's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
I had just moved to a new city and barely even knew where the grocery store was yet. When my car wouldn't start one morning, I didn't know who to ask about local shops. But I remembered a name from back home, O'Reilly Auto Parts. I called and they pointed me to a great mechanic just down the street. Now I feel a little more at home.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
OHMB 803342 and MLS 304138. Do you need help with a loan to purchase or refinance your home? Have you applied for a home loan and been told you do not qualify for a loan? Are you a first-time buyer and have questions regarding the home buying process? Are you considering refinancing your existing home? Do you live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, or South Carolina? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, you need to call Forrest Ferris at 3rd Street Financial Home Loans at 513-320-5911, who is available 7 days a week to help you. We're 3rd Street Financial Home Loans, and Forrest Ferris specializes in approving home loans banks and other lenders cannot or will not approve. Some of our clients might have low credit scores, been through a divorce, want to buy a home for sale by owner, are in a land contract, or dealing with probate or estate homes. Call Forrest now for a free estimate, 513-320-5911. That's 513-320-5911. Offer valid for purchase or refinancing of homes located in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, and South Carolina only. Minimum loan amount $60,000. Limitations and restrictions apply.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hey, I'm college football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Softwater. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Softwater is the home of the 7-year, worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my third year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Softwater. Glazier water is better water.
Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. Browse over 40 hot tubs from 5 major brands at up to 50% off. Financing is available and show admission is free. That's this weekend at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds in Dayton. Visit spashow.com.
There's a confusion about how to protect yourself from COVID. But one thing is for sure, whether or not you're vaccinated, you need an accurate thermometer. Contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever, the leading sign of COVID and the flu. Only the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They have no scientific studies behind them and can miss the fever that might mean COVID. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Give the gift they want this year. A new iPhone 12 from Pure Talk for just $479. Pure Talk gives you great prices and great 5G coverage with unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. The average family saves over $800 a year. Just dial pound 250 and say Jill 50, and you'll save 50% off your first month and save on a new iPhone. Dial pound 250 and say Jill 50. Some restrictions apply. See site for details.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Don't miss the only weekly hour of radio dedicated to Dayton Flyers basketball. It's Talking Out Loud, hosted by Sully. Thursday nights at 6 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, and online at wingam.com.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started, and I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of
He's here with his family. That was the new head coach of the LSU Tigers.
Goodness gracious.
Unbelievable. He felt confident doing that, by the way.
It's like this is going to sell well. This is going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, we forgot.
There you go. WA. I have to think about it still. It's not rolling off the tongue the way I want, but you know.
Because it's Iowa, but we just got to tough it out for another 24 hours and then we'll be fine. Oh my goodness. I can't wait for Iowa to beat Michigan and then for Shaw to have to go back and watch the highlights on SportsCenter because he probably won't watch that game either. Just saying.
Oh my goodness.
Just saying. All right, a lot of big games tomorrow, Kev, as we close out this part of the show right here when it comes to the college football side of things. Georgia and Alabama out of the SEC. Okay. The SEC title game, Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite. A lot rides on this game. Georgia wins, that opens the door for more teams. All right, Alabama wins, that locks up 50% of the available slots, and then that really makes the Michigan-Iowa game interesting, as does the the Big 12 matchup between Oklahoma State and Baylor. And then, of course, you have Cincinnati and Houston going head-to-head in the American Conference Championship game in the JV Conference. So a lot on the line tomorrow. How do you envision the SEC matchup playing out?
I got Georgia winning that game, much like they had won all their games this season. Not like, oh man, they just put up a ton of points, and I just don't think that Alabama's going to be able to move the ball on them at all. Alabama has struggled to run the ball all season. Their only playmaker really is the former Ohio State wide receiver, Jameson Williams. Michi had a good game against Auburn and everything like that, but they're not going to be able to run the ball at all. And I don't think they'll be able to pass the ball to score they'll need to score at least 24 points. And I don't think they can score 24 points against Georgia. I got Georgia winning that game.
All right. That'll be like for me. I'm just going to say Alabama for one reason. Nick Saban. These are the type of games right now, like Kirby Smart and this Georgia defense. They've been able to take care of business the entire season getting up to this point. But there are not a lot of coaches that strike fear in the opposing team the way Nick Saban does. In fact, he's the only coach in college football right now that sparks fear in anybody. Like Ryan Day, as much as I love him, he didn't spark fear in anybody across from him on the sidelines. That's not a shot. That's just the reality of it. There's not a lot of coaches that strike fear in you. Nick Saban is the Bill Belichick of college football, right? Like I think everyone would agree with that. Like just knowing you're going up against a Nick Saban team, it gets your attention. I think really it's going to come down to how Georgia, like the first quarter, really, like if Georgia can come out and establish their game, if they dictate tempo, if they're the one, like if they force Alabama to play against them as opposed to them playing against Alabama, if that makes sense, then Georgia's fine. But if Alabama comes out and you even let them think that they are going to dominate from the very beginning, it's a different ballgame at that point. It is very important for Georgia to set the tone early, but I expect a close game. I don't think Georgia blows Bama out, and definitely don't think Bama blows Georgia out. But I think the closer the game, the more it favors Alabama. That's exactly why Alabama beat Auburn this past week. Auburn outplayed Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Auburn should have won that game, but as the game went on, they panicked, and they started playing not to lose as opposed to playing to win. If Georgia plays to win, they're fine. If Georgia starts, if they kind of tighten up as the game goes on, Kev, and they start playing not to lose, they're going to lose that game. But they also don't have a ton to lose. They lose, you might lose the 1 seed. You're still in the playoff.
Right.
Georgia, though, Kirby Smart, trust me, there is something to be said about beating Nick Saban, beating Alabama in the SEC, being SEC champs, being the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. And we'll see. We could potentially see that rematch of last year's bowl game between the Bearcats and Georgia. Georgia has to take care of business. I just have to roll with Saban and Alabama because just like you don't pick against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, I know they're separated now, but like that'll make an interesting head-to-head if they ever ran into one another. But I'm picking Bama, Kev.
Okay.
The American Conference, Cincinnati, the home team. Yes, they're playing at home. The Bearcats are a 10.5-point favorite as they welcome in number 21, Houston.
I got UC winning this game by 10 points. Late touchdown in the fourth quarter, pulling away from Houston to lock up the AAC championship and have an undefeated regular season and punch their ticket to the playoff with the 4th spot.
All right, good stuff. I have Houston beating Cincinnati for a lot of different reasons. It's been a hell of a week. It's been a lot of distractions. I don't know how locked in. I know everyone's like, "Oh, Fickle, he's been so loyal. He's staying." But has Fickle given his best this week in prepping this team for Houston? Has the coaching staff been able to kind of shield as much of the outside noise from the team to be able to keep them focused? That's going to be the big key. Will the team play for Fickle for being loyal and sticking with them? Or will the distraction of all the noise and the buzz and the talk out throughout the week, will that keep them from preparing to their fullest extent for Houston? That'll be big. I think Houston wins this. Cincinnati wins it. That's awesome. It would make things more interesting if Cincinnati won because I want Cincinnati to win, Kev, because I want the committee to look at an undefeated Cincinnati team and say, you're not welcome in the playoff. So you know what? No, I think Houston wins. But if Cincinnati wins, that creates a very interesting scenario. Real quick, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest. This one doesn't really matter, but who wins this one?
I got Wake Forest winning that game. I like Sam Hartman at the quarterback spot. You know my rule about quarterbacks in college football. I like quarterbacks that are the reason why their team wins games. Nobody watches Wake Forest football, but this quarterback can really play some football. I would like everybody to keep an eye on him for a potential NFL draft pick, man. I like the way he plays football. I like Sam Hartman, and I like the way Wake Forest scores a lot of points.
I like Sam Hartman as well, but I'm a big fan of Pickett. Pickett is a Heisman candidate at this point for Pitt. I think Pittsburgh wins this, and I think that we go from a draft that doesn't have any true quarterback candidates to now being the face of the draft from the quarterback perspective. I think that's Pickett. There's been a lot of mock drafts that have the Browns selecting Pickett as their next quarterback, right? Who knows? But that's if he falls that far. Who knows? I think the kid can shoot up. All right, we closed it out. Iowa, that team up north. Who will be the Big Ten champion after tomorrow night?
Of course it will be the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Hear that?
Of course it will. The great Kirk Ferentz, the great Bob Sanders, the great Tim White. I mean, all the great players from Iowa will be coming out the locker room to help Iowa win tomorrow in Indianapolis. Iowa Hawkeyes roll 35-10 over that team up north.
There you go. Roll. You hear that? All right. For those of you who missed ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz just lay into David Shaw earlier in the week, that just was like, it was so beautiful to hear. We have that conversation with Jason Fitz coming up on the other side. But Iowa, your Big Ten champions, Michigan, thanks for trying to ruin our season, but we'll get great joy out of watching you lose to the Hawkeyes tomorrow night. IO!
WA.
Now we got to be smoother.
I know.
IO!
WA!
Go Hawkeyes. Beat that team up north. We'll talk to you guys next week. Actually, Kevin and I will be live at Frickers on Sunday morning for the Sunday morning tailgate show presented by Frickers, live from Frickers in Miamisburg on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Have a great weekend, everybody. Until next week, it's been the Justin Kinder Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine, OGW Energy Resources, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, and Tim's on Brown Street. How about that? Have a great weekend, everybody. We have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz next.
Go Iowa.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's.
Today's topic, holiday traditions.
They're the best.
Agreed. So I went to Kohl's and got 40% off Cuddle Duds throws for movie night and 40% off outerwear.
Ooh, for caroling?
More like sledding. Also got an Amazon Echo Show 8 so the kids can bake with grandma.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That was the extra 25% I saved and the Kohl's cash I got.
I take it saving's one of your favorite traditions, too.
You know it. Select styles. Offers end December 8th. Some exclusions apply. Amazon coupons do not apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to